It's Monday, August 18th, 2025. I'm back. Good evening and welcome to the daily happenings inside our federal machine. This is Spathon, and it's time to plunge into the swamp to see what happened today. President Trump greeted President Zelenskyy of Ukraine and President of the European Commission and the Secretary General of NATO and the UK Prime Minister and the President of France and the Chancellor of Germany, Prime Minister of Italy, and the President of Finland in search of a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. The FDA launched a new public website to track the food companies who agreed to replace petroleum dyes with natural ingredients. Also, President Trump's approval ratings surged after his meeting with President Putin. The Department of Homeland Security announced today that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office at 26 Federal Plaza was evacuated on August 14th after a powdery substance was discovered with a letter. The U.S. Department of Agriculture gives an update on their progress tackling the new World Screwworm parasite that's been infecting cattle and sheep, goats, pets, wildlife, and rarely humans. President Trump gives an update to Hamas and the hostage situation. Also, the company Philips, they've announced their $150 million investment into U.S. manufacturing, creating hundreds of new jobs in the near future. And there's lots more to go through, so we're just going to dive right in. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I just might read your comment on the next episode if you decide to drop one. So the first thing we're going to get into is from Daniel Baldwin. Way more press here at the White House than usual. High anticipation for the Trump-Zelenskyy Oval Office spray. Oval Office spray. And that was Caroline Levitt, who is responding to this original post, and she said the whole world is watching President Trump, which, yeah, they are, for sure. I mean, with all those world leaders, when was the last time a president had that many national leaders inside the Oval Office? Probably not never, but I'm sure it's not often. But anyway, let's give this a listen. Probably not much to hear. It's just showing reporters all over the place. Reporters, journalists, cameramen, camera women, maybe too. Did you see a lady back there standing up on that milk crate? It's equity. Everybody gets to be the equal height. The hell is that lady sucking on? Damn, ladder. You need a ladder? We're all about our equity here, man. Everybody's equal height today. All right, so that's that. Clearly a whole lot. That's more than a gaggle. What's beyond a gaggle of reporters and journalists and whatnot? There's probably a word for it. So here's President Trump. He's welcoming President Zelenskyy to the White House. Here we go. And this is from Margot Martin. Pulling up here. There's Zelenskyy. Wow. He wore a suit this time. Look at my baby. He's all grown up. About time. Bet he's wearing tennis shoes, though.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody. Let's go inside. Let's go get this freaking show on the road. It's time to see if Zelensky's got the cards this time. All right, so from the White House, President of Peace, quote, "We're going to work with Ukraine. We're going to work with everybody, and we're going to make sure that if there's peace, that peace is going to stay long-term." This was published 5 hours ago from the White House. And we're just going to have to see. As of the recording, okay, look, I started recording 7:58 p.m. That's the current time right now, so they very well may have wrapped up things. The last time I checked was around 6:30, and they hadn't officially published anything yet. So, matter of fact, while I'm right here, I'll just go straight to the White House to see if there's any updates as things are going right now. 1 hour ago, everyone is very happy about the possibility of peace for Russia and Ukraine. At the conclusion of the meetings, I called President Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting. President Donald J. Trump. So, and let's see. I might actually, I'd like to try to find a better version of that. Let me think here. Maybe Caroline Levitt. Maybe she already posted it. Let's see. I'd like to read the post a little larger than that, if I can find it. Not seeing it here. All right. Maybe not. maybe not yet. Well, I know where to find it if I don't come across it. Or I suppose I could just read it now and just get it out of the way, I suppose. All right, I guess I could just go ahead and do that. Scrolling around too much. All right, so here's Trump's Truth Social post. Again, it's small, my apologies. I'm just going to read it word for word. I had a very good meeting with distinguished guests. President Vladimir Zelenskyy of Ukraine, President Emmanuel Macron of France, President Alexander Stubb of Finland, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Prime Minister Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom, and Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, Friedrich Merz, and the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and the Secretary General of NATO, who is Mark Rutte, in the White House, which ended in a further meeting in the Oval Office. During the meeting, we discussed security guarantees for Ukraine, which guarantees would be provided by the various European countries with a coordination with the United States of America. Everyone is very happy about the possibility of peace for Russia and Ukraine. At the conclusion of the meetings, I called President Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelenskyy. After that meeting takes place, we will have a trilat, which would be the two presidents plus myself. Again, this was a very good early step for a war that has been going on for almost 4 years. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are coordinating with Russia and Ukraine. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So there you have it. That is most recent, as far as I know, with regard to his Truth Social posting. So we did get through that. We did get through this. And here's an image from the Oval Office, obviously, the Oval Office with a lot of people, a lot of reporters, basically doing the press meet and greet situation where they're just getting all their photos and all the exclusives that none of them are going to get because there's a lot of other reporters in there, so it can't be exclusive. But anyway, this is Rapid Response 47. POTUS on the fake news, and I would just read it, but how about it? We just let him say it himself.
It's an amazing phenomenon. I said that if in the settlement you got Moscow, St. Petersburg, and thousands of miles
Russia,
around,
Russia,
they would say
Russia.
I made a bad deal. The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But, you know...
I have a feeling he's probably referring to some of the European quote-unquote leaders. I mean, Europe is getting insanely woke. You think that we got people pulling the strings behind the executive branch in the United States, especially under Biden. I'm sure it's probably way worse over in Europe. I could be wrong. I'm not European. I've never been over there before. I just got a feeling, man. I got a feeling like Davos Group and whatever the fuck the other shit is that they're doing over there. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't know.
Solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. You know, I saw major wars.
Oh, yeah, incompetence, man. It's probably off the rails.
Going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know what the one I'm talking about? It was a big one. But they don't even write about that. No matter what I do, no matter what, and you know, this is not anything to do with you. It's probably to your advantage in a certain way. But no matter what I do, no matter what deal I make, from my standpoint, you'll come out good. Maybe President Putin will come out good.
Trump won't.
But they'll say,
Orange man bad.
Trump was absolutely horrible.
Orange man bad.
And I've lived with that
because they're fucking psychopaths.
I've lived with it since just before the first election.
Yep, Trump derangement syndrome.
Now I get the worst publicity anyone's ever gotten in office, but I won in a landslide, so the people understand.
No shit, the people understand. And you think that the press would finally give up and concede the fact that he's already got his second term. He's not running for a third term. So you might as well just get used to him at this point. I mean, we're coming up on 5 years that he's been president at this point. Just let it the fuck go, man. He's doing good things. But he's a wrench in the establishment machine. That is the problem that they've had. He's in the way of their New World Order agenda, where the end game is a population of 100 million people or less. And that is my absolute belief. I think all roads lead to it. Pitting women against men in our society and our culture, ramping up the rhetoric on abortions, and how many different forms of birth control do we have right now? Like 34 different forms of birth control. And getting rid of no-fault divorce back in the 80s. And, I mean, it's been in play for a real long time. I mean, they've been trying to get this shit going for quite a while. And I mean, like in the Netherlands, when they were trying to get them to stop farming. I'm not sure of the exact details on that, but I know that was an ongoing issue, which I think they finally may have resolved. But it's a global thing. It's these background powers that are in the West, and that's what they want. I think all roads just lead to that. Depopulation. That's what they want. The climate change agenda, the 15-minute cities, if you've heard of that, you ought to look that up. That's really interesting. Everybody living in pods and eating bugs, and no more animals that we can eat anymore. We're going to make that illegal, and in the year 2030, you'll own nothing and you will be happy, or else. And look, they don't want you having kids. They're making it impossible to have kids. I think the insurance industry at this point, I think they're in on it too, because daycare, the reason why it costs like $1,500 a month for just one child in daycare is because the insurance premiums. They have to pay insane insurance premiums. Don't blame the daycare specifically. They have to pay ridiculous insurance to the point where they have to increase it up to an absurd degree, or else they're not going to be able to cover it. So there are many, many things happening in the background with regard to that. And Trump is the one guy that's been in the way since arguably 2015. Because I think whether if they were Republicans or Democrats, if Trump had never been there in the first place, I think that this whole establishment agenda was really going to be happening by 2030. They were dead set on 2030. And for all the bad reasons, the nightmare dystopia, the sneak preview that Hollywood has been showing us for the last 30, 40 years through all of the sci-fi movies, everything's all nightmarish and dystopic and dirty, dingy, poor, just a nightmare while they all get to live up in their giant Elysium starship. Not literally, but think of like the Hunger Games. There's another one for you. That's the future that they want to envision for the world. They want to get us down to just a rock bottom population, and they'll do it through global cooling probably, which is going to probably speed up the next ice age. I doubt it. I think that's ridiculous. Whatever. I'm not even going to go down that road, but all right, whatever. I'll just get off my soapbox.
They're the only ones that count, ultimately. But I've also had great reporters. I've had journalists that are very good.
Uh-oh. That is not my fault. That's the video.
It's very sad when you do the right thing. As an example, they said, because of the fact that Vladimir Putin came to American soil, this was a tremendous defeat for Donald Trump.
Come on, man. Alaska. Give me a fucking break.
It was really wonderful that he
used to belong to Russia. That's his excuse.
It was a hard thing for him to do, to be honest with you. It was the opposite of what they said. But they said it. Now, if he didn't come, they'd say that was also bad for Trump. Yeah.
Well, no shit.
Way. And there's just a great dishonesty of the press, and I think that's why
it is. They're evil.
You know, its credibility.
Journalism is dead.
At an all-time low.
Yeah, objective journalism, even investigative journalism, is dead. That was the only form of journalism that I thoroughly enjoyed. Remember that? Like back when, I don't know, Inside Edition or maybe 60 Minutes or whatever, they used to do on-the-ground investigative journalism where they actually went to hostile situations, or they would report on crimes, like on that, what was that movie called? Spotlight, I think it was called Spotlight. Really good movie about the Catholic Church and all that. I don't want to get into the weeds with all that. I'm just pointing out the fact that journalism used to involve instances where they would have a whole department of writers and investigative journalists where they would work on one story for months and months at a time, and they would come out with an absolute banger of an article. And nobody does that anymore. It's all just rage bait journalism, where one person just makes up something out of complete thin air, and then next thing you know, the entire mainstream media apparatus, within minutes, they're all in lockstep reporting the same thing. One person says something about Trump, oh, now we all have to. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, man. All right, so let's go to the next one from the president, where he continues speaking.
I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have.
Well, wait a minute. I thought that Iran and Israel, I thought there was a ceasefire there. Also with Pakistan and India. I remember reading about that there's a ceasefire, especially with Iran and Israel, because, I mean, I don't know whose side is bullshitting and which one isn't, but I think it was according to Iran that there was an extra missile or two that was fired over from Israel. Kind of getting to the point where it's like, no, we get the last one. No, we're going to get the last one. That kind of bullshit. And I think the same thing was happening in India, too. That the ceasefire was supposed to take place like 12 hours after they announced it. But there were still a few missiles getting lobbed over here and there after the ceasefire was supposed to happen. So I don't know what he's talking about. I'm positive that I heard that there was a ceasefire in at least both of those instances.
But I can also understand.
I don't know if I'm wrong. Drop it in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong.
You know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. Would I like the concept, you know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes.
Right you are.
But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But
that's
all
war,
of
baby.
these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm not pro-Ukraine. I'm really not that pro-Russia either. I think it'd be nice, just like what Trump said back in one of his initial debates back in 2016. Wouldn't it be nice if we got along? That would be nice if we actually got along, and maybe down the road we can actually be allies for a change. I know we weren't exactly allies during World War I and II, but we kind of were, but we kind of weren't. Kind of like yeah, you know, we kind of look out for each other kind of way. Like we had the same common enemy. But it would just be nice to get to that point where maybe one day we actually get along. But in this situation, Russia, they are the aggressor, as far as I know. Again, I don't know the details. I don't know the politics between Russia and Ukraine. I know Ukraine used to be a part of the Soviet Union and everything, and they've been independent for a while. But Russia came in with Crimea. Didn't Crimea used to be a part of Ukraine? Technically a part of Ukraine. And then Russia took it, and now they're trying to take all of Ukraine. So I'm not siding against Zelenskyy exactly. I see where he's coming from. I mean, imagine if, I don't know, that's too easy, I guess, but imagine Canada invading the United States or something. Like, let's say the U.S. had 30 million people and Canada had like 300 million people or whatever. I mean, just kind of putting myself into their shoes, I could see if there wasn't exactly a ceasefire or even a pathway to a peace deal yet, because who wants to concede any part of their country to another country? I kind of get it. But again, I don't know all the nitty-gritty details about the two countries and the conflicts that they're involved with and all that. But all right, anyway, so let's go to this one. There's one more here. Let's play this just quick, 25 seconds.
We just spoke to, I was just telling the president, I just spoke to President Putin indirectly, and we're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today. And we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the
trilat, that's what it's called. Trilat.
And if we do, we have a good chance. I think if we have a trilat, there's a good chance of maybe ending it. But he's expecting my call when we're finished with this meeting.
Look, I had a choice either to play longer versions, like 20 minutes worth of this, and then like 30 minutes worth of that. I decided to go for the quick clips. These are just some of the highlights. I'm sure it'll be very easy to find the full videos. There's just a lot of other things that happened today, so I figured I would just clip these. That's probably what I'll typically do whenever something like this were to occur, where there's a series of meetings with the president or some other political instance that's going on, such as a huge oversight hearing or something. Those come up from time to time. I doubt it's going to be public, but like when Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and all those James Clapper and all those other people who've been subpoenaed, when they end up in the hot seat in the coming weeks, if it is public, I'm not going to be able to watch the entire thing. I mean, fuck, it's going to be like 7 hours long. But I'll grab highlights from it if it's public, which I highly doubt. I'm sure it's going to be behind closed doors, but all right, anyway, here's another one here. This is in a different venue, different setting. So we'll see what Trump says here.
All of us would obviously prefer an immediate ceasefire
More official.
while we work on a lasting peace, and maybe something like that could happen. As of this moment, it's not happening, but President Zelenskyy and...
Anybody else notice these glasses? Anybody else notice this? They had the same ones over during the Russia meeting with Putin. I've been noticing these for the last couple of months. Is this something they just started doing, putting these weird-looking like paper lids on top of these glasses? I haven't noticed that in years past. That seems like something recent. I don't know if maybe Trump had developed kind of a germophobia maybe, or something's going on. I don't know. Maybe it has to do with the chemtrails. Maybe it's radioactive now. So I don't know, I was just thinking of Chernobyl, how they were doing that during that mini-series, turning the glasses upside down or whatever.
President Putin can talk a little bit more about that. You know, in the 6 or so wars that we stopped, we haven't had a ceasefire. And so I don't know that it's necessary. You can do it through the war, but it would be, I like the ceasefire from another standpoint. You immediately stop the killing. But I believe a peace agreement at the end of all of this is something that's very attainable, and it can be done in the near future. With all of the wars that I got involved in, we only have this one left. Of course, as I walk out the door, there'll probably be a new one starting, and I'll get that stopped too. But I thought this was going to be one of the easier ones. It's actually one of the most difficult. They're very complex.
Oh, very.
The next step would be for a trilateral meeting, and that will be worked out. And I just look forward to working and having a great result.
Look, it's very complex because it's something we should have never gotten involved with in the first place. The last thing we should be doing is sticking our noses into Russia's business, unless it directly involves us, and I suppose directly involves one of the NATO countries. Aside from that, this whole Ukraine thing, we should have not even looked that way, let alone getting involved, even financially or otherwise. Even supplying weapons that other countries are paying for. We shouldn't even be doing that. I don't think we should be doing anything at all. But Democrats, they love war. They love war. They like to pretend that they don't, but they're starting all this shit. They've been doing it for a while. It's absolutely ridiculous. I know Republicans, they're not saints either. Republicans, they've got their plenty fair share of conflicts that they've ended up butting directly into that we shouldn't have had any business dealing with in the first place. All right, here we go. One more.
The Alaska summit reinforced my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out, and I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure. We also need to discuss the possible exchanges of territory, taking into consideration the current line of contact. That means the war zone, the war lines that are pretty obvious, very sad actually to look at them, and negotiating positions. President Putin, also you have President of Ukraine, who is, you just met a little while ago, and we're going to try and get a three-party meeting, maybe as soon as we can, and I have a feeling you and President Putin are going to work something out. Ultimately, this is a decision that can only be made by President Zelenskyy and by the people of Ukraine.
His decision at the end of the day.
An agreement with President Putin, and I just think that's very good things are going to come of it. So I hope we have a good meeting, and if we can have a good meeting, I'll set up a meeting with President Putin, and if you'd like, I'll go to that meeting. And not that I want to do that, but I will do that because we want to save a lot of people from dying. A lot of people are dying, and we got to save them.
Yeah, and you know what? If Putin wants to get some of Ukraine in order to end the conflict, and if Zelenskyy says there's no way that we're conceding an inch of land, and as such, the conflict is going to continue, I can't exactly fault Zelenskyy for that. Again, like I said, it's something that Russia started, and if they don't want to give up anything, that's just the nature of war, man. That's just how war tends to work. You fight until you're either destroyed or you're bankrupt or whatever, or unless you do come to terms like that, like, fine, we'll stop the war. You can have a little bit of this or a little bit of that. I don't know. I just think it's just something that we shouldn't have been involved with in the first place. And actually, with all of those European leaders that came with Zelenskyy, my first thought was that they were going to back him up. They were going to be his entourage, because Zelenskyy doesn't want to stop anything. He just wants to go full steam ahead. We are not ending this anytime soon, not until we have completely defeated Russia and they back off. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way, on the battleground. I just had that feeling that those European leaders just want that. For some weird reason, they just want the war. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Hopefully they went there with the best intentions, the same intentions that Trump has, and that's to end this whole thing as soon as possible. All right, so this one's from Senator Mike Lee. Which one would you have hung out with in high school and college? Would it have been Vance or Newsom? Check out JD Vance, man. That is hilarious. I can't believe that's JD Vance. I just learned the other day he's the same age as me. Talk about feeling old. I think that was probably the first time in my life that I actually felt old, ever. That he's the same age. I believe he's 41. That's how old I am. I can't believe that. That is absolutely crazy. Also a hilarious picture. You know, like back when I was in high school, he probably would have been the same class of 2003. That was my class. I mean, we goofed off a lot like that. Still smoking in the bathrooms back then, even though I'm sure it was a lot more, you know, easy to get away with back in like the 1980s or some shit. But, you know, just messing around. But anyway, here's Gavin Newscomb looking like a stiff, weird, wannabe, trendy, nerd-looking poser. And he actually responded to this. I don't have it handy, but if you go to Gavin Newsom's profile, he responds to this picture and he says, I really miss that scarf. Anyway, here's another one. JD Vance and Gavin Newsom side by side. Yeah, dude, I think JD Vance would have been a lot cooler to hang around with, even though he kind of did look a bit nerdy back in the day, though. He's a little pudgy, too. Anyway, speaking of which, check this out from Val. Am I the only person who thinks Kamala Harris's stepdaughter is unattractive? Oh, my God. Those tattoos, man. I mean, look, with all due respect, I love the ladies, but come on, y'all. What's up with some of y'all's tattoos? I mean, for real. I don't get it. Like flowers and ivy and stuff like that. It just seems like a lot of them are just impulsively done. I like flipping through the book in the tattoo shop. I like that one. Let's put that one on me for the rest of my life. Anyway, I can't see them up close. That looks like maybe it could be a skull or something. That, like, what is that? Like some elephant or some shit? That's probably a bird. I mean, there's going to be a flower somewhere. There's going to be probably a hummingbird somewhere. I'm just ragging, but yeah, man, that's kind of an atrocious. I'll just leave it at that, man. I don't want to get overly disrespectful, but yeah, if someone said, would you believe that that's Kamala Harris's stepdaughter? What would you say? Yeah, sounds right. All right, so let's move on. To Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, implementing the Genius Act is essential to securing American leadership in digital assets. Stablecoins will expand dollar access for billions across the globe and lead to a surge in demand for U.S. treasuries, which back stablecoins. It's a win-win for everyone involved, stablecoin users, stablecoin issuers, and the U.S. Treasury Department. And that's in response, of course, to the Treasury Department itself. And it says, today, Treasury issued a request for comment required by the Genius Act, which furthers the administration's policy of supporting the responsible growth and use of digital assets as outlined in President Trump's executive order on strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology. And here's the press release. So if you have any questions about this, you can actually ask the Treasury Department yourself. And they're taking questions until October 17th. So today they issued a request for comment, and today's request for comment fulfills their obligation pursuant to the Section 9A of the Genius Act for stablecoins. And this is an opportunity for interested individuals and organizations to provide feedback on innovative or novel methods, techniques, or strategies that regulated financial institutions use or could potentially use to detect illicit activity involving digital assets. In particular, Treasury asks commenters about application program interfaces, as well as artificial intelligence, digital identity verification, and use of blockchain technology and monitoring. And anyway, you can go to this form here. Members of the public should submit comments within 60 days of publication in the Federal Register by October 17th. And I'll link this if you're interested. I'm sure nobody probably will be. I'm sure this is something like the ultra elitist level crypto nerds are probably going to be engaging with. But if you haven't heard of it, here's your opportunity if you got any questions. The only question that I really have is, what kind of stable coin are they talking about exactly? Are they talking about Tether? Are they talking about USDC? Or is there just not a stable coin that they've implemented yet? That's just my main question. So I might actually look for that after the show. I don't know. But yeah, it's just something that I'm curious about. So just reading a couple of comments here. Especially in the context of emerging cryptocurrencies. Oh, that's funny. They're asking questions directly in the comments. Dude, you're supposed to use the form. You're supposed to go to the website. It should be outlawed. Uh-oh. Wow, they don't like that. Actually, they got a couple of responses to that. Okay, why? Yeah, I mean, I get it. It like stablecoin is definitely an avenue where you can money launder and stuff like that, but cryptocurrency is trackable. The blockchain is trackable. I don't know the inner workings of it, but supposedly you can track exactly where every piece, every bit of cryptocurrency comes from and goes to. I mean, wallet for wallet, you may not know who owns the wallet, but you know where it ends up, supposedly. So, all right, let's move on to U.S. Attorney Pirro. Threatening the life of the president is one of the most serious crimes and one that will be met with swift and unwavering prosecution. Make no mistake, justice will be served. We extend our deepest gratitude to our dedicated law enforcement partners, especially the Secret Service special agents from New York and Washington, D.C., for their tireless commitment to protecting our leaders and our nation. And that's in response to U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia. The defendant, which they're talking about here, Indiana woman was charged with making death threats on Facebook against President Trump. Yep, there's another one. The defendant was charged in a complaint in U.S. District Court with threatening to take the life of, kidnap, or inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States and transmitting in interstate commerce communications containing threats to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the person of another. And the details can be found here on justice.gov for immediate release. So her name is Nathalie Rose Jones, 50 years old, of Lafayette, Indiana. I've been to Lafayette in Indiana. I proposed to my ex-wife there. right on the Wabash River, actually. Anyway, was arrested in the District of Columbia on Saturday, August 16th, and charged in connection with making a series of threats on social media in which she threatened to kill President Trump, announced U.S. Attorney Janine Ferris Pirro. They even threw out her middle name. Jones was charged in a complaint in U.S. District Court with threatening to take the life of, kidnap, or inflict bodily harm upon the president and transmitting in interstate commerce. I already said all that. It's so annoying when they repeat that over and over, but I get it. It's in the tweet. I get it. So, all right, so we got that. So I suppose there's probably not a whole lot more to go through. Well, I suppose here, according to court documents from August 2nd to 9th, members of the Secret Service observed an Instagram user, Nath.Jones, posted threatening comments about the president, and the user called for his removal, the president's removal, and said he was a terrorist, referred to Trump administration as a dictatorship. Yeah, what else is new? See, this is what happens when the mainstream media just constantly throws out bullshit rage bait that is never fucking true. You get a whole bunch of psychopaths that don't know what's up and what's down. They don't even know if they're in the Matrix, that they have no clue. And this is what ends up happening. You get shit like this going on. But we all know the mainstream media. They were desperately hoping that July 13, you know what I'm saying? I'll just kind of leave it at that. They wanted it. And they still do. Absolutely. I'm telling you, man, the Great Reset, the 2030 agenda, that was really supposed to happen. Our dystopia was supposed to hit overdrive starting in 2030. But anyway, on Facebook between August 6th and 15th, Nath.Jones allegedly continued to post threatening comments about Trump. An August 6th post directed at the FBI, Nath.Jones wrote that I am willing to sacrificially kill this POTUS by disemboweling him and cutting out his trachea with Liz Cheney and all the affirmation present. It's on justice.gov, YouTube. I'm just reading the article. All right? All I'm saying. Anyway, on August 14th, in a post directed to U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, she allegedly wrote, please arrange the arrest and removal ceremony of POTUS Trump as a terrorist on the American people from 10 to 2 p.m. at the White House on Saturday. Man, dude, what a raving lunatic. She called him a terrorist, called him the German N-word, that she had the opportunity. She'd take out the president, would K-word him. She had a bladed object, and she wants to carry out her mission of doing so. She wants to avenge all the lives lost during COVID-19. Dude, don't blame Trump for that. Blame fucking China for that, dude. It's completely China's fault. And also blame Anthony Fauci while you're at it. Because dude was helping to fund through the NIH this whole Wuhan research laboratory bullshit. Trump just happened to be there. He wasn't behind it at all. And if anything, I know it's very conspiratorial. I'm not saying this happened in any way, shape, or form, but if anything, the Democrats may have colluded with China to drop this whole COVID bomb just to try to throw a giant wrench into Trump's administration. Look, that is getting way out in conspiracy land. I completely understand that. I don't know, man. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't as far-fetched as you might think. It seems in these days, stranger things seem to have happened. There's a lot of crazy shit going on these days. All right, from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, President Trump set the example by putting forth efforts to make America healthy again. That's why we're introducing the Pete and Bobby Challenge. 100 push-ups, 50 pull-ups, 10 minutes. Can you do it? I can do 10 push-ups. You know what? If I really maxed myself, I could probably do 16, 15, 16. Pull-ups, I might be able to top maybe 7 or 8. It helps that I only weigh like 130 pounds and I'm 5'10". So that I don't know though, man. 100 push-ups, that's going to take a while. But anyway, it's a challenge. If you're up to the challenge, let's check this out. At the Pentagon, there's Bobby Kennedy, and Pete Hegseth. That's a big-ass gym they got in the Pentagon.
All right, here we are in the bowels of the Pentagon for the
That's
Pete
freaking crazy,
and Bobby
man.
Challenge. I think this was your idea, so
Yeah,
I
like in a
blame
whole
you.
freaking obstacle course.
But it's all about Make America Healthy Again. We're going to be fit, not fat. We want recruits that are ready to
Maha.
go on the challenge. What are we doing today, Bobby?
Well, Pete and I are going to do our part, encourage American youth.
Damn right
to
you are.
Do this challenge. And the challenge is to do 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in any order you want in under 10.
Look, if Secretary Kennedy can do 100 push-ups, that is absolutely insane, dude. I already know he's jacked. I've seen him, pictures of him with his shirt off and everything. How old is he? Isn't he like in his mid-70s? Isn't he? How old is he? I honestly don't know. I don't know how old he is. Oh, shit. I'm not typing. The fuck? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., 71 years old. He is 71. I know his voice. He absolutely sounds like he's every bit of 71, if not older. But dude, this dude is fucking jacked as hell for 71.
So 5 minutes is the top standard that we want to meet.
Not going to be able to do.
Good grief, man. Oh, I love the sound of copyright. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe the Pentagon owns this. $548. Damn, dude, he really could do 100 push-ups.
You can do better, Ranger Tom! Let's go! Make us proud!
Fucking Secretary of Defense screaming at you.
You did the challenge in what time? 3:56.
Probably been quite a while since we've had a secretary like Pete Hegseth.
24 seconds. Gunnery Sergeant Prince. Gunnery Sergeant High. 243. 243.
243. Damn.
I'm going to throw it on the military side a little bit too. Let's challenge the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Dude, he only did that in a quarter of the time.
My friend on TV, Will Kane. How about the Pete and Bobby challenge? 100 push-ups, 50 pull-ups, but we hope Americans will take this challenge and you'll pass it along so that we're ready to be fit the way we need to be healthy, and to have a healthy fighting force. Go get it.
Let's make America healthy.
Amen. One more!
I mean, I love the idea. I just think that 100 is a little heavy so far. They probably should have started out with stage 1 or level 1, 50 push-ups and 25 pull-ups. Maybe not. Maybe 100 is what you really should be pushing for. But our country is quite out of shape and overweight. So I think a lot of people are going to look at that and say, 100? Oh, I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even going to try that. Fuck that. That is just way too many. But you know what? You should at least try. If you haven't done push-ups in a while, just for the hell of it, see how many you can do. See if you can do over 10. Start small and start working your way up. It sounds like that they're trying to redo the Ice Bucket Challenge, the DOD version of it. That Ice Bucket Challenge, 2014. That was definitely one of the craziest, most sensational, viral summers ever. Everybody getting self-dunked on or getting dunked on by somebody else, literally. All right, so anyway, Ways and Means Democrats. The whole country is feeling 10% higher electrical bills since Trump took office. Trump's response, make it even worse by taking over 64,000 clean energy jobs offline. leaving you with a ballooning electric bill. Yeah, because renewable energy, it's saving us so much money on our electric bill. You have any idea how much money that the Biden administration has dumped into renewable energy? I'm sure you could take a good guess, which I think I left it down here. Yeah, listen to this. The Biden administration spent over $1 trillion with a T for renewable energy, which breaks down to $3,000 worth of money from every American man, woman, and child. Our electric bills still went up in the last 4 years, despite us paying over $1 trillion, because renewable energy is a massive scam. But anyway, I clipped this from Google. Biden administration spurred over $1 trillion in private sector investments in clean energy and manufacturing in the U.S., includes investments in renewables, energy efficiency, related infrastructure. Beyond this, the administration has also directly invested billions of dollars through various programs aimed at advancing clean energy goals. So how come our electric bills haven't been steadily decreasing during the Biden administration? How come it just went up? Or if you want to be extremely generous, you might say that it's been flat. But if we're investing trillions of dollars into our taxpayer dollars, your money, my money, it should be going down. What the fuck? It's because it's a giant scam. It's a big giant scam. And they're going to go up even more in many states. Yeah, I mean, they are. I wouldn't say that it would be Trump's fault, because Trump, he just passed that executive order with removing all that red tape with regard to nuclear power production and drill, baby, drill. But of course, when he lifts all of that red tape for oil, natural gas, coal, clean coal, whatever they call it, the pushback is, oh, well, you're making the oil companies rich. You're just trying to enrich the billionaires. You're just trying to blah, 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 $1 billion this and billionaire that. I mean, look, Democrats, they want to take the entire energy industry, and they essentially just want to own it. They want to make all this shit property of the U.S. government, because that's what they want at the end of the day. They want to turn us into a communist hellhole. They embrace the values of the Chinese Communist Party. That's what they want the U.S. to be. They admire the CCP, the Democrats. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. What do I know? I don't know anything. All right, so actually, I don't. Hold on. The FCC approved Paramount's merger. Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with it. All right, whatever. We'll move on to the next thing here. I got quite a few Democrat things to go through. So this one, not a Democrat. She's actually my new Florida Senator, Ashley Moody. As Florida's newest U.S. Senator, I vowed to get right down to business for the Sunshine State and undo the reckless policies we saw harming our nation over the last administration. I'm working hard every single day for the free state of Florida and all who call it home. We're just getting started. And that is in response to Florida's Voice. Florida Senator Ashley Moody ranks among the busiest freshmen on Capitol Hill. And this is on FloridaFLVoiceNews.com. And she replaced Marco Rubio, of course, because Marco Rubio became Secretary Rubio. And there was a vacancy for one of the two Senate seats, and Governor DeSantis filled it. And Ashley Moody now occupies that. So anyway, just read just a little bit of this. Florida's freshman Republican Senator Ashley Moody has emerged as one of the most active new senators on Capitol Hill, according to a recent Axios analysis. Axios? For real? Left-wing Axios, huh? Yeah, wow. All right. Where's she at? She's number 5 on this list. Did they say number 4? Because she's at number 5. Freshman senators with the largest number of sponsored bills. Damn, Jim Banks of Indiana, dude, you are way, way, way busy. Wait a minute, hold on a second. They're all Republican except 3. Because they're lazy. The color of blue, that's the color of lazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding, Democrats. I know you're not lazy. But you can be pretty evil, though. All right, so the outlet reviewed data from Quorum, a legislative tracking firm, and ranked Moody 5th overall. Okay, so they did say she was 5th among first-term senators and representatives for activity during her first months in office. The list measured metrics such as bills sponsored, co-sponsored, and amendments introduced. Indiana Senator Jim Banks leads the pack, which we already saw. Moody, she was our Attorney General. She joined the Senate in January after being appointed by Governor DeSantis. Axios noted that she has already introduced or backed dozens of pieces of legislation, placing her in the top tier of freshman lawmakers. Moody was sworn in earlier this year after being appointed to the Senate seat vacated by Senator Marco Rubio, which we know. So, formerly State's Attorney General, yada, yada, so on and so forth. So, that's the gist of it. I'll link that into my description of this video. All of these links I'm opening up, they're all down in the description if you want to check any of these out. Just look for a FL Voice News, because it's just the raw links down there. I try to put them in chronological order as to my progress through the episode. I try to do that. I can't give detailed descriptions of each one because YouTube only allows up to 5,000 characters, and sometimes I'm pushing it because of the links to the descriptions and all that other information that I put down in the description. So often I just don't have enough room to do it, and it's very time consuming, and yeah. But you got the links, though. Take you straight there. All right, so Rep. Mark Pocan, the people of Washington, D.C. did not ask for their city to be turned into a police state. They want representation, not occupation. Checkpoints, armored trucks, masked agents harassing people with zero accountability. No, just illegal immigrants, dude, and criminals. We must say no to fascism in the heart of our democracy. Yep, in the heart of the democracy. All right, so I guess you're all for carjackings, crimes, and all sorts of vandalism. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. There are no people of Washington, D.C. It's our federal district. Right, absolutely. You do represent them. You've not been doing your job to keep them safe. Shame on you. Oh, wait, yeah, here, check this out. They're getting results unlike Democrats who've failed at everything. D.C. crime crackdown stats as of Friday, 189 arrests and ICE arrests, legal gun offenders, and D.C. police chief retains control of the department. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I heard something about some judge ruling that something like that was going to happen, because it's supposed to be Pamela Bondi. She's supposed to be the one overseeing the police department, and then she answers up to Trump. So, I don't know. According to Fox News, that's not the case. But anyway, Miss Krabby, when did the people of Washington, D.C. ask to be turned into a violent criminal sanctuary? Absolutely. The residents of D.C. prefer a murder every other day instead. Quit grandstanding, backbencher. Yeah, sometimes I like to let the comments speak for themselves because, I mean, clearly I'm not in any support of that. Checkpoints, I don't know about checkpoints. Armored vehicles, yeah, the National Guard's in the city. So, yeah, I'm sure there's now armored trucks around. Occupation, give me a break, dude. It's the District of Columbia. You're not your own independent state. It's fucking D.C. And fascism, retarded. It's the Democrats who are more on the side of there's no truth but power. Way more so than Republicans and conservatives, who they're all about live and let live, do your own thing. We value community and family, nuclear family, traditionalism, our national identity, our culture, the American flag, all that stuff. Like, Democrats are against all that shit. They want all of it completely gone because they are the fascists. They are the communists. All right, so let's do one more, shall we? Mark Warner, Republicans say Americans struggling with rising inflation, rent, and unemployment. And as you know, what they passed in response? A massive tax cut for billionaires on the backs of the working class. It's always with the billionaires. The billionaires, the billionaires, the billionaires. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of billionaires in this country. There's a lot of Democrat billionaires, too, for that matter. So, definitely a silly response or a goofy comment. It's insane. We've been struggling with rising inflation since COVID. Obviously, when Biden took over, things got a lot worse. How long was Biden in office when gas hit on average $6 a gallon? I think it was only like 3-4 months. It was like in May or June of 2021 where gas got absurdly, insanely expensive. To the point, remember when they were selling all those stickers on Amazon? You could buy a pack of 100 Biden stickers of it saying, I did that, and it's him like laughing and pointing. I saw those all over the place at gas pumps, and I'm sure you did too. They were all over the place. Anyway, this propaganda post was paid for by the Democratic Party. Inflation, rent, and unemployment, all Biden's doing with your support. Yeah, it's so funny how they just have goldfish memory, where they only just remember the here and now, and they just conveniently wipe the last 4 years where the true damage and destruction to our economy actually really occurred. Plus, they kneecapped President Trump by all this COVID debacle happening in the first place, because Trump said, look, if you're a state and you think you should lock down, that's up to you. I'm all about the 10th Amendment. Lock down if you have to. And Democrats did so. They did hardcore lockdowns, in many cases for well over a year, and it really crippled our economy in a really ridiculous kind of way. There should have never been any lockdowns. Nothing like that. And look, I'm not even going to get on that COVID high horse, but yeah, I could go on for an hour about that shit, at least. Why continue to lie? It's got Democrats nowhere. Exactly. It's not getting you anywhere because it's all they know how to do is double down, and double down again. It's absolutely ridiculous. So what's the, oh, that's from TikTok. I hesitate at that. Kevin has said every single thing about this GDP release has shown strength. Look, it's X. It's free speech is stretched pretty close to the edge on here sometimes, so I usually hesitate to click on something that I haven't checked out already. Let's see, why liberals confused, why no black people are protesting the National Guard in D.C. All right. No wonder nobody trusts politicians. All they do is lie to the people. Excuse me. You are very misleading. These are the consequences to lower income families. If it had not been passed and the JCTA was left to expire at the end of the year, according to ChatGPT. Let's see. If Congress allowed the TCJA provisions to expire in 2025, tax increases for lower income families, yeah. Yeah, the 2017, yeah, the taxes that Trump lowered in his first year in office, I remember that. I remember it because I started getting $50 more on my check than I had previously. I noticed it. I watched it. I noticed it. It happened. And it was very cool to see. So, yeah, that actually directly affected us who don't make all that much money. So the 2017 TCJA was designed to sunset or expire in 2025 for individuals and families. That means the standard deduction would have shrank from $29,000 down to $13,000. Child tax credit from $2,000 down to $1,000. The 10% and 12% tax brackets would collapse into a higher 15% tax bracket, and so on and so forth. Personal exemptions and whatnot. So, oh wait, somebody's asking Grok something. Why were Americans struggling with rising inflation, rent, and unemployment over the last 4 years? I bet you could take a wild guess. Due to post-COVID supply chain disruptions, which wasn't as long-term as they really want you to believe. Plus, it wasn't as rampant also. Yes, there were supply chain shortages, namely through China, because the ports were all backed up for a period of time. There were also quite a few things that were not in short supply that the companies, they had no reason to raise the prices to the level that they raised them, like Doritos, for example. Was there really a supply chain shortage to the point where they should be selling Doritos for $7 a bag right now? $7 for corn tortilla chips with some flavored dusting on it. Is there really any justification for Doritos to be charging that much? What in their supply chain to make Doritos, which one of those ingredients had gone up to such an absolute insane amount to the point where they're charging $7 for a regular bag of Doritos? Same goes for Mountain Dew. Why are they charging over $3 for a 2-liter of Mountain Dew? They'll say, well, it's just the nature of inflation. You know, like this went up, so everything has to go up. No, I completely call bullshit on that. Nope, I call bullshit. Like with Big Sugar. Wholesale Big Sugar. Prove me wrong. I know you can't show images in the YouTube comments or whatever, but I have a feeling that Big Sugar didn't go up like 30%. I don't know. Maybe I should look this up because I'm probably going to, end up proving myself wrong immediately. I guess I could check. Oh, wait. No, I went to search. I'm supposed to go to Grok. I just have a feeling it didn't move all that much, at least not 30%. Or what about corn? Corn is in everything. Corn is probably one of the most primary ingredients we have, period. Let's see. I'll analyze available data. Okay. In 2020, it was approximately 12 cents a pound. Whoa! It doubled. Holy shit. Supply constraints from weather issues in India and Thailand. Wait a minute. We grow sugar here in Florida. We've got sugar canes. I've seen them with my own eyes. We grow sugar here. Plus, I'm sure there's other regions in the Caribbean where they grow quite a bit of sugar too. But maybe it is a global issue. It peaked at 27. Let's see. As of 2025, raw sugar prices were at 16 cents per pound, okay? Down 9% from the previous year. So in 2020, it went up to 12 cents. Currently, it is sitting at 16 cents. Where was that at? Wait, hold on. Increase from 2024. Wait a minute. Another source estimates a range of 90 to 216. What? U.S. wholesale sugar prices, USD per pound. Oh, okay. 24 cents a pound. And then 2025, 38 cents a pound. All right, well, it appears that I'm proving myself wrong. U.S. import price. I just had a feeling that sugar didn't move that much because I know Hershey's, that's one company where they say that, or they admitted that they increased the cost of a Hershey's bar so much, not because they had a shortage in ingredients, but because they just did it, because it was just the nature of inflation at the time, and they haven't rolled it back. But we're not dealing with the supply chain shortage anymore. We're not dealing with it. We're just dealing with just old-fashioned corporate greed. That's what we're dealing with these days. That's just the way it is, I guess. I mean, it really sucks because wages haven't really moved at all. They've moved very little. I just read a projection the other day. It could have been in yesterday's episode. I did do yesterday's episode. My microphone was absolutely, completely fucked up. I had a microphone issue. I'm just going to keep long story short. But I got a headset. I don't use the microphone on the headset. I have an actual, like, dynamic microphone that I talk into. It's been an insane uphill battle trying to get this thing working properly. Won't go into the details, but I had microphone issues last night. So it was so bad that I ended up having to take down the video, which I technically don't really do this show over the weekends. This is mainly set up to be a Monday through Friday show. It's just the last couple of weekends. I didn't really have anything going on. And I was like, well, I might as well just keep the train rolling. But all right, so I'll just go ahead and move on from there. So we got that one. So this is from Mark Warner, another Democrat. Oh, wait, no, we already did that one. Okay, Mike Quigley. I believe this is another one. Putin continues escalating Russia's war on Ukraine. The tyrants of the world. They see what Trump's doing, and they see his weakness. And this is from USA Today that he's responding to. President Trump said, many points were agreed to in his meeting with Putin, but offered no specifics and added on the biggest issue, we didn't get there. Yeah, dude, it's diplomacy. He can't just blurt out to the whole world what the hell they talked about. He has to take it through Zelenskyy. As he said before they even met. He's like, look, you're not going to get any details because this is all behind closed doors business. We're letting you know that we're meeting. We're going to let you know whether if it went well or not, and we're going to keep it at that. That's just the way it is. I mean, sorry, Rage Bait Media. You're not going to get all the details. You're just not going to. It's just not how it's going to work. But anyway, I got it here in front of me, so I'll just read just a little bit of it here. No deal. Live updates from Trump-Putin Alaska Summit. No deal. The Alaska meeting was a test of whether Trump can make progress on a peace deal in the grinding 3-year war in Ukraine. Isn't it 4 years? It's 4 years. Make a peace deal. The grinding 3. Yeah, dude, it broke out in 2021. Or is it me who's got my math all jacked up? As far as I know, it was 4 years. USA Today. All right, let's check this out. Let's see what they're talking about. Oh my God, this is quiet.
The various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll of course call up President Zelenskyy and tell him about today's meeting. It's all up.
Here we go.
There's a deal. There's no deal until there's a deal.
There's no deal until there's a deal.
NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll of course call up
guy who had war declared against him.
About today's
that
meeting.
guy.
It's ultimately up to them.
I would like to thank President Trump
it's like the news
for
wants to
our
know
joint
first.
work,
Zelenskyy doesn't
for the
deserve to
well-wishing
learn
and
first. We
trustworthy
do.
tone of our conversation. It's
media.
important that both sides are
We're the most trusted
result-oriented,
name
and
in
we see
news.
that the President of the U.S. has a very clear idea of what he would like to achieve. He sincerely cares about prosperity of his nation. Still, he understands.
Look, that's one thing the media should appreciate Trump for, because Trump told all of us what he's looking for. He was very upfront about it. He spoke to the media themselves and said, look, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this, that, and the other. And I'm going to go in there and see if I can get it. But they're just not happy with that. Trump pretty much showed all his cards straight up because, look, the U.S. shouldn't have a dog in the fight at all, but we do, thanks to the Biden administration, giving your money and my money and all of our money, well over $100 billion worth over to Ukraine to fight a country that we really shouldn't be trying to ruffle their feathers in any way at all. You know, they've got more nuclear weapons than the U.S. does, for crying out loud. All right.
that Russia has its own national
as far as
interests.
we know.
I expect that
not
today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the U.S.
I hope so, man. Imagine if the U.S. and Russia became trading partners. I bet the cost of timber, which I mentioned the other day, would go way down, hopefully. That would certainly be wonderful. Music to those ears who hope to own a house one day. Because right now, the average American household, it ain't happening. You're like, if your average household income, it's like 77 or 75,000, you're like $25,000, $28,000 shy of affording the average priced house. And that's just the average household income, man. It's absolutely insane, but I'm sure everybody knows this by now. So this comes from Rep. Eric Swallowswell. Cover-up Comer subpoenas everyone except someone who knows something. Why no Trump or Bondi or Patel or the last FBI director? I'll tell you, because they'll testify that Trump is in the Epstein files. Dude, this dude's so fucking retarded. And that's in response to Rep. James Comer, which, by the way, dude, why the fuck are you so late to the party? This is way back on August 5th, which if you go back to my other channel, Spathon, it's the same as this channel, except it has the N at the end, which is my name over on X too. Yeah, I did a show on this where I talked about this, where all these names were named to be subpoenaed. Former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Merrick Garland, James Comey, William Barr, Alberto Gonzalez, Jeff Sessions, Robert Mueller, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, they're all getting subpoenaed to talk to Congress. And yeah, the House Oversight Committee. I have a feeling it's going to be behind closed doors. I hope it's not. I really hope it's not. Because if it's not behind closed doors, then I got some PTO to schedule because I'm going to follow this shit. That'll probably be the first time I go live, actually. I've never gone live before. But anyway, yeah, he's an idiot. He's like, why do you have to look at the Obama administration? You should look at Trump because Orange Man bad, that's why. Because, like, the bad Orange Man. Thank you for your support, Ukraine. Thank you for supporting Ukraine, sir. Didn't this start under Biden? Yeah. How did this get so little attention? Oh, yeah, that's right. Mike Wheeler. I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong damn one. What the fuck am I doing? What am I doing here? All right, Swallowswell. Uh-oh. Yeah, we better scroll past that one. You see what I mean? It gets a little crazy on X, man. I got to watch it over here on YouTube. I just have no way of knowing other than just like, oh, shit, scroll. Spoiler alert, we're digging into Eric Swalwell's comments thread. Things might get a little ridiculous down here. It's interesting how the left went from calling the Epstein list a right-wing conspiracy to now it being all you can talk about. Y'all legit stand for nothing. Russia, Epstein. Get yourself a new script or shut the fuck up. Yeah, we know. Shared flights, state to state. No island, you lying spy effer. Why don't you just use your Chinese connections? Yeah, exactly. You and David Hogg work out at the same gym with the same trainer. Oh, I love it when the retarded shitlibs have a meltdown. It's not even a meltdown. It's just his common everyday way of thinking. This is constantly what's going on in his head, man. Trump lives in their heads rent-free. It's absolutely hilarious. It really is. And they just cannot stop. And that's basically what he said. He just pretty much said, like, why would you look at all these people when you should just look at Trump and Bondi and Patel? I mean, what the hell is Bondi gonna have? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Same with Kash Patel. I'm sure his record's absolutely squeaky clean, too. Last FBI director. Compared to all of these names, man, come on, dude, it's night and day. It's very clear why they're being subpoenaed. It's all out in the public. It's been out there for a long time. It's just the media is just desperately trying to sweep it all under the rug, and it's kind of hard to hold back the tide with a broom. But anyway, let's just go to the next one. Eric Swalwell, he's fun. Anyway, US FDA. Today we launched fda.gov/natural dye pledge to track food companies' pledges to replace petroleum-based dyes with natural colors. Petroleum-based dyes, man. We've got freaking bubbling crude in all of our food supply. It's been there for years and years. They wonder why America's so unhealthy and why our health insurance is insanely crazy. It's because we got shitloads of health problems. People have to keep going to see the doctor, get surgeries, get all this shit done, be on all kinds of medications. And yeah, now there's people who really don't have much wrong with them. They go to like one single thing that happens, like a gallbladder or a kidney stone or something, and it bankrupts you just right off the bat. But anyway, Dr. Macri of the FDA is delivering on POTUS's Make America Healthy Again mission. Each of these industry commitments is a win for American families. So that's the image of all that delicious looking candy. I love candy, man. I know it's got the worst stuff in it. I know. But I did grow up in America. I was a 90s kid. Banana Runts, man. Those are some of my favorites. I'll eat any one of these. Like, they're so, those peach gummies. Oh, man, it's fucking heaven, dude. Those sour worms, so good. Oh, so good. Oh, dude, it's all bananas. Oh, my God. Woo. That is awesome. All right, so anyway, on April 22nd, 2025, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Food and Drug Administration announced a bold national initiative to phase out petroleum-based food dyes, certified color additives from the American food supply, marking a significant milestone in the Trump administration's efforts to make America healthy again. And God willing, hopefully our health insurance will finally come down at some point in the very, very, very far future. As part of this effort, the FDA is working closely with food manufacturers, retailers, and trade associations to eliminate 6 remaining certified food additives frequently used in the food supply. FD&C green number 3, FD&C red number 40, I know that's a big one. FD&C yellow number 5, another big one. Yellow number 5's in everything. FD&C yellow number 6, blue number 1, and blue number 2 by the end of 2027. The FDA is also taking action to swiftly remove the color additive and regulations that allow for the use of orange B and citrus red number 2. Earlier this year, FDA revoked the authorization for red number 3. That's what they should do, dude. They should just outright ban all of it. Just ban it. And you know what? Just do it, like, just have them just stop within 30 days. All they have to do is just not put food dye. There's no flavor in this stuff. It's just, it's color. That's it. It's just color for your food. So what if your Fruit Loops and Trix looks like shit? So what if it's all just this pale, like yellowish white color? Who cares? If it tastes the same, it tastes the same. It's no freaking big deal. But I get it, all the color and all that stuff. But you know what? Just keep the boxes the same then. And then when you open it up, maybe put like some little label on there or something like extra healthy version or whatever. Out with the old, in with the new. So yeah, anyway. So this is the industry tracker. Pledges to remove petroleum-based food dyes. And they're all in progress. Oh, look at this. In-N-Out Burger. Hey! In-N-Out Burger. I've only had them once in my life. But In-N-Out was pretty damn good. Strawberry shakes and signature pink lemonade. They already stepped up to the plate. And they got shit done. Now, they know how to lead by example. But yeah, I mean, we've got Walmart, Kellogg's, Tyson. Of course, there's specifics like Jimmy Dean, Hillshire Farm. Kellogg was specific with the different cereals that they're going after as far as removing the food dye. They ought to just do it all the way across the board, which is why I wish they would just outright ban this shit completely. Crystal Light, Kool-Aid. Really? They're getting rid of that in Kool-Aid? How's that going to look? That's going to be weird, man. All the different Kool-Aid flavors are just going to be like a white powder. Dunkin', Folgers, Jif, Twinkies, Frito-Lays, Tostitos, Cheetos, Doritos. Like, man, like, is it really going to change the way that the colors look? If it doesn't, and they find a way to make Doritos look exactly the same, and now they're just not putting petroleum-based dyes in there, I would, like, really call their ethics, their morals, their values, and their intentions into question severely. Because if you were able to do it beforehand, why not just stuck with what already worked in the first place? Well, because the petroleum food dyes are a little bit cheaper. Yeah, it's probably that simple. That's probably why. That wouldn't surprise me. Frank's Red Hot. DiGiorno. It's not delivery. Hot Pockets. Espresso. Toll House. So Nestle. I can't believe Nestle is already on board. Isn't Nestle like one of the most evil companies on the planet? Or at least they used to be. I don't know. Extra, M&M, Skittles. Skittles, huh? Starburst. I'm starting to get hungry. Specific brands from Calanova. My bad. International Dairy Foods Association. In-N-Out Burger, of course. Repo, Bimbo, SAB. Arnold, Little Bites, Thomas. Oh yeah, Thomas. They make the English muffins, I think, don't they? Maybe not. Maybe not. I think they do, though. General Mills. A whole list of different ones like Trix, Haagen-Dazs, Pillsbury, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, That was my favorite cereal growing up. What was your favorite cereal? Drop that in the comments if you're bored enough. Yeah, definitely my number. Well, a close second was probably Cookie Crisp. So Scrumpdilly and Birdseye, Duncan Hines, Marie Callender's, and Slim Jim. So yeah, I got this link down below. It's on fda.gov if you want to check it out. Man, I want me some banana runts. Oh man, especially the chewy ones. Man, the chewy ones are good too. Oh, it's so bad for you. All right, Caroline Levitt. Donald Trump's approval rating surges after Putin summit. This is from Newsweek. Can you believe it? It's from Newsweek. His approval rating surged after the Putin summit. So, all right, so there's no deal. Okay, so this isn't pertaining to that. I know sometimes with news articles, they'll post a video version, which I would prefer to play, because this is YouTube after all. Let's see. President Trump's approval rating surged after Putin. According to polling by Insider Advantage, this is probably too small for you, isn't it? 54% of voters said they now approved of the president, while 44% disapproved. I somehow doubt that. I bet it's a lot more than 44. It's just only the number of people that they surveyed. Trump's net 10% approval over, well, yeah, at least 10% above approval rating, an increase from the publication's last poll in July, which gave him a net plus 2% approval rating, 2% above 50, with 50% of respondents approving and 48% disapproving. Approval ratings are useful in providing a snapshot into the electorate's response to key policies and developments, yada yada. I mean, most of us already know that. So there you have it. That's what we're here for. We're here to see what the numbers are. And 54%. Hey, it's not in the negative. It's not below 50. Even though I think it's realistically, if they were to poll every single American adult who maybe, I don't know, I would do two. One for all the registered voters and one for just everybody in general. Because everybody in general, you're going to get a lot of people who just don't give a shit. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of people who don't care about politics. Which, of course, COVID, they got a lot of people into politics because everything was skyrocketing in cost. And in order to find out what the fuck was going on with that, you kind of had to pay attention to politics. And with the whole COVID thing, they infused both entities into one single thing. So you couldn't keep up with COVID without being completely political. But anyway, so this is from the Bureau of Reclamation. Peek inside a hydroelectric generator. That's interesting. This unit at Judge Francis Carr Powerhouse is under repair. Part of the Trinity River division of the Central Valley Project. Built in the 1960s, its two generators produce 154 megawatts, powering a reliable, sustainable energy future for California. All right. Hydroelectric in California. And there's one image there. Looks like I don't know, maybe the outer shell of the generator or turbine or whatever. Damn, that's big. So this whole thing was built in the 1960s and they're still using it. Yeah, you can tell by those old ass gauges up there. Just do what... Back then, man, they build shit to last. I bet if they built one of these today, I bet it wouldn't last 60 years. I just got a feeling. Probably because they're going to source too many of these parts from China. All these bolts probably going to be made in China. But I bet they weren't back then. All right. So let's move on to the next item on the docket. Homeland Security. On August 14th, ICE responded to an emergency at 26 Federal Plaza involving an unknown white powdery substance that was found in one of the ICE offices. Out of an abundance of caution, the federal building was evacuated due to a potential threat to the safety of those inside. Today, the building has been cleared and it has been reopened for normal operations. This incident comes after months of smears and rhetoric comparing ICE to the Nazi Gestapo and secret police and false claims of kidnappings by ICE. This rhetoric and lies has directly led to our officers facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. We urge sanctuary politicians, activists, and the media to turn down the temperature. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Come on. These are Democrats we're talking about. They're not going to stop until they have absolute unchecked power and they are wielding over complete control over the United States with an iron fist. Deprive innocent people from their freedom and walk all over their human rights is a crime that has to be punished by men laws and divine laws. Nobody can escape from karma, not even you. The powder is Kartna. We have your office air and your family as well. I have a feeling this was a woman who probably typed this up. Just a wild guess is all. Probably has cotton candy hair. Probably got the septum piercing. So on and so forth. Oh. And I clicked out of my bookmarks by mistake, but that's okay. We'll find out where we were. Here we are, right there. So, we can probably check out a couple of comments. Probably just people saying like how fucked up that is and deplorable and some other examples. So anyway, I did forget about this. They do have the link to the New York Post article. White powder envelope sent to New York City ICE office and said it was delivering karma for migrants. Look, dude, if you hate America so much, fucking leave. Just go to wherever the fuck you want to go. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just play the clip.
At 26 Federal Plaza is not Newsdown Mayor Adams. And some developing news now, Mayor Adams confirms the white powder found Thursday at 26 Federal Plaza is not dangerous. Speaking on 1010 Wins, Adams said the preliminary results
just a piece of shit
there was no
with nothing else
dangerous
fucking better
substance
to do
involved,
and be a fucking
the
asshole.
FBI is going to conduct their investigation. According to the
she will be
FBI, at
caught.
least 2 people came in contact with 5 letters containing white powder.
Look, all this shit that they're doing, all these resources, they evacuated an entire federal building for crying out loud. Yeah, she's going to prison for a really long time.
This was in the mailroom of ICE
Unless she gets a
enforcement
leftist
and
federal
removal
judge.
operations on the 9th floor just before 4 yesterday. Luckily, there were no injuries.
Maybe if it was an Obama-era judge, maybe he'll let her off with fucking probation or some shit. All right, I don't want this to play, so you know what? I'll just mute the volume. Hopefully that'll work. I just don't want something randomly to start playing in the background because I want to leave that up so I can remember to link it. So, criminal, degenerate, lib, animals, traitors, stay home if you know what's good for you. Democrats won't stop. They're terrorists, and they've always been terrorists. If you're listening to this, I'm reading comments. That is not my words. I'm just repeating. Was that the powder? It's obvious this note was written by a scholar of some merit. I'm a PhD. That's probably who it was. Probably some leftist PhD. Fucked up people in the world. Why wasn't this detected at the USPS? Well, because it wasn't. Probably because it wasn't a real hazardous substance. I don't know. Maybe there was no powder in there at all. Maybe she just dropped a straight up piece of paper in an envelope and just said there was. They have systems in place for contents, even if baby powder or something failed and is at the U.S. Postal Service Center. You know, how many pieces of mail are collected each day? It's got to be in the hundreds of millions. They can't check everything. But I get it. I mean, I understand why he's pissed off. It is pretty ridiculous. It's no longer Democrats versus Republicans. Rather, it's America versus leftist communist wackos. Will do. All you had to do was say so. Anthrax spelled backwards. Oh, all right. There you go. Got it. I did not notice that. I honestly did not catch that. I'd imagine federal buildings would have off-site mail facilities. You would think. Well, even more especially, now his comment up here makes more sense about the whole mail situation. You would think if it's going to a federal building that they would have more carefully checked their mail instead of just letting everything through. Kind of like how they do at the prisons. They open up everything and they make sure that it's all in the up and up and there's no contraband or anything. Sounds like some anarchist shit. Yeah, it is anarchist shit. Turn down the temperature, people just trying to do their jobs. Absolutely. Which is kind of ironic because in Washington, D.C., at least 90% of the bureaucracy who votes, they vote Democrat. I've said that quite a few times on this show so far, but that's supposedly what it is, that they're all a bunch of Democrats. So, like, a lot of the people who had to get evacuated from that building, they're on your side, you idiot. Well, maybe not, though, because I get it. It's the ICE office. I get it. I understand. But, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of people, they're happy to have a job. If it's a federal job, there's probably some pension involved. So there's probably, believe it or not, there's probably quite a few people working for ICE who are anti-ICE at this point. Probably didn't used to be, but maybe they kind of sort of are. Those in the administrative side of things. But it's just an assumption. I'm not preaching the gospel truth or anything. I'm just saying, man, it is DC. House Democrats, life is going to get harder and more expensive for everyday Americans. Yeah, I know. It's no thanks to the Biden administration in part. And I get it. There's things that Republicans have done too. But it's just hilarious how they take absolutely no blame for anything at all. Absolutely no blame at all. The fact that they locked down their cities for well over a year didn't have any effect on the economy. No, it helped the economy. It was good for the economy. Joe Biden was great for the economy. The $8 trillion of debt was great. The $1 trillion that we spent on renewable energy that we got absolutely nothing back from. We got no relief on our electric bills in any way, shape, or form. It's all just wonderful. Just so nice. So the Trump and Republicans' big, ugly law cuts food assistance while also raising the cost of health care and utility bills. Now, dude, the damage was already done. It's all fraud, waste, and abuse. They're cutting all that shit out. So it's going to obviously show that there's less money going to be going out because they're doing some policy changes, especially when it comes to food assistance. People who don't have children under 14 years old and you are able-bodied, which means if you're not on a documented disability, you got to go to work. You have to work a minimum of 20 hours a week if you want to keep getting food assistance and you don't have any children under 14 years old. This is the way it should have always been. In fact, once your kids are in first grade, there's no reason you shouldn't be working 20 hours a week anyway because they're in elementary school for 6-7 hours out of the day. So I would even push back against the 14 age group. All right, so should we read any of these? I don't even know if I should read any of these or not. God forbid food stamp recipients can't get sugar-loaded soda, candy, fatty junk food so you can kill the Americans who need real food assistance. Yeah, that's your plan. Depopulation, I'm telling you. Oh, yeah, that's right. I responded to this one. In the Democrat elitist agenda, all roads lead to depopulation. They do. They do. That's the only reason for any Democrat to want Americans to continue to eat unhealthy, unnatural food, take harmful vaccines, and etc. Democrats, the test results are back, and Donald Trump is your daddy. Good one. Crying Democrats should pace themselves. I haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. And then there's that one again. Like, it seems like every episode I see that at least once, which was shared by, ironically, the Democrats. Trump's America, with Biden right dead in the center of it, with everything skyrocketing. It's absolutely hilarious. They actually published that or posted it, which they did. They took it down. They took it down like an hour after they posted it. But once it's on the internet, it's on there forever. Give it up. No one believes your nonsense. And then Doge AI chimes in, as it always does. Bloated bureaucracy, not essential aid. 20% fraud rate proves reform is overdue. There's $150 billion wasted annually on ineligible recipients and administrative bloat. That's what Democrats really want. They want the fraud. They want people who are not entitled to this stuff to be getting it anyway because they know the overwhelming majority of these people who have no business getting government benefits, they're voting Democrat. They're absolutely voting Democrat. And if they lose their benefits, maybe if they start going to work and they start listening to other people around them, because if you're at home all day, you're not listening to anybody but yourself. You're just, or social media, you're in your tiny little bubble, your little echo chamber. But God forbid, if you have to go out and get a job and you have to work with everyday regular ass people, well, that might start waking up more Democrat voters. They might actually hearing that this world isn't quite the world that they thought it was. And that's probably why they want them to continue getting these benefits fraudulently. All right, but life is getting harder in Illinois because you dimshiviks are taxing us into oblivion. Trump 2028. This is bullshit. All right. I got to see it. This is bullshit. Way to go, Snow White, the OG. Once again, not true. Maybe read it and pay attention. Yeah, just read it yourself. Like that's another problem Democrats have. Do they actually understand what they're actually writing? Like, do they ever read it out loud to themselves? Of course not. All right. But yeah, there's tons of comments down here. So if you feel so inclined to do so, if you have an X account, which you can go over and follow me on X, by the way. Matter of fact, I will repost this right now. So if you are on there, you don't have to go digging for the House Democrats profile. You can just go straight there and read some of those comments. There's 153 of them down there if you want to check them out. All right. So let's head down to the next one. From the House Foreign Affairs Committee Majority. Imagine getting a golden ticket to study in the greatest country in the world and then lighting it on fire by committing assaults, burglaries, and cheerleading for terrorists. Yeah, good point. Rubio's State Department yanks more than 6,000 student visas due to assaults, burglary, and support for terrorism. Enough with them. What about their parents? What do you think that these foreigners' parents are going to say when they get kicked out of the United States? Because a lot of their parents probably were just desperate to get their children to come here and get a good education so they could either go back home and make tons of money, or maybe even have a shot at staying in the United States and maybe bringing the family over someday. Well, that's not going to happen now, because now I'm sure they're blacklisted. They're never going to come back now that they've got a freaking criminal record in the United States now. So I can only imagine how fiercely, apocalyptically furious that their families are going to be when they get home. And yeah, needless to say, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, but this is what happens, man, when you listen to just evil, brain-dead progressivism, at least to the scale that it's gotten to. I mean, I understand that a lot of these progressive values, yes, they are absolutely insane today. They started out with good intentions, but the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. And they've just gone, you give them an inch, they always take a mile every single time. It goes on and on. I made an example with gay marriage just the other day. That could have been last night, and I basically lost the episode last night. But I mean, gay marriage was legalized in 2015. Everybody really didn't, I mean, there were some people that were dead set against it, but for the most part, the public in general was fine with it. It was okay with it. Live and let live. It's not my business anyway. You do your own thing, live with whoever you want to live with, and that's that. So they won. They won gay marriage. Done deal. It's over, which I know it looks like they're going to overturn it next year. It's actually looking almost certain that they're going to, because it wasn't actually made into law by Congress. It was just interpreted by the Supreme Court. So it looks like it's going to get overturned next year, but that's for a whole nother discussion. But they won, but they just could not take the win and go home. These activists, they just had to keep pushing it further and further, to the point where transgenderism was pushed up to the top of the spotlight, and then transgender men and women's sports, and then in the locker rooms, and now in the bathrooms of all ages. Now they're giving puberty blockers to prepubescent children, and now they've got tuck-friendly bathing suits that they were selling in Target last year during the month of June. Just insane. Yeah, bathing suits for toddlers and babies who were born in the wrong body. They identify as a girl, not as a boy. So we've got tuck-friendly bathing suits for these little 1-year-old children. Insane, dude. Taking way too many miles. Way too many miles. All right, so Rubio State Department yanks more than 6,000 student visas due to the following that we already read. Students who've publicly participated in pro-Palestinian protests have faced heightened scrutiny. More than 300 visas have been revoked. Wait a minute, didn't it say 6,000? Why is it only saying 300? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Come on,
so you got all these people coming to the country, taking away scholarships, different activities for Americans.
Yep.
But they're going on these college campuses and they're protesting. We see linkages to Hamas. We see
freaking
linkages
can't
to other foreign
the
governments as well. Marco Rubio has made the commitment.
There. All right, I'll quit.
He's going to revoke their visa. He said that he's already revoked 300 plus visas. Here's the Secretary of State.
Well, all right.
More than 300 at this point. We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa.
You're saying it could be more than 300
Sure,
visas?
I hope. At some point, I hope we run out because we've gotten rid of all of them. But we're looking every day for these lunatics.
Absolutely.
Right. And so everyone thinks Mahmoud Khalil. But when Mahmoud Khalil was tossed, the word came out to these Palestinian organizations linked to Hamas or not, that the Americans are not going to tolerate the campus unrest, the takeover.
Why do they have United Auto Workers
every Ivy League
Union
institution outside
posters?
Princeton? Well, I didn't really see much there.
What does that have to do with anything?
Not only is the campus is going to, the college is going to lose money, but they're going to lose people. Now, yesterday we found out that we had one person self-deport from Colombia after Khalil was tossed out, and she sat down in Canada with Al Jazeera to talk about what she thought, why she left.
Oh, what a great home for her.
Really?
What did she say, Rachel?
She said the moment Mahmoud got arrested, it sent shockwaves across Colombia's community. He is a green card
I have no
holder.
rights in this
That's when
system.
I realized I have no rights in this system at all. It was only a matter of time before they caught hold of me.
Exactly.
Well,
Rachel,
go broke,
this
man.
has inspired some disagreement between us. We normally agree on
Just
90%
brainwash.
of issues, but you're worried about free speech.
I'm not. So first of all, I would never be a student in, say, Mexico City and go and protest their government. I'm just not interested. I think that's just
No, it's
rude,
ridiculous.
and you're not being a good guest, so I'm with that. I also don't believe in violence. You know, I'm a peacenik.
Yeah.
I don't think we should have violence, and I don't believe in terrorists. I don't want anyone here who has ties to Hamas. That said,
no.
I am concerned
Needless to
about
say.
free speech. I am a free speech absolutist. And so I wonder, what is the criteria here? Should we be deporting people who say criticize America and American policies? What's the line? Or is it only if you
they're a
criticize
foreigner, yes.
Israeli
Yes.
government policies? So
They have to.
There are a lot of free
I mean, like during the citizenship, when you take your oath to be a citizen, you're taking an oath to the United States as a whole, that you accept this country wholeheartedly, that you fully support the flag and everything. I mean, you take an oath of just that you're going to be the best upstanding American that you could possibly be. So yeah, revoke their asses. Absolutely.
Really good people right now who are very concerned about the chilling effect this could have, not just on these green card holders and these people on visas, but what's the message to American citizens about free speech?
I wouldn't worry about
You're fine
American
because you're an
citizens.
American.
It's not American citizens. These are people on student visas.
Yeah, they're foreigners.
In green
No,
cards.
I'm just saying the chilling effect. If you're seeing people,
I don't care.
are they connected to Hamas?
I don't
or are they
care.
just
Well,
criticizing
this way,
Israeli
the
policy?
lawyer I talked to this week, who's representing 9 families, says there's direct linkages to Hamas.
This
that
doesn't
they
look like they're
posted
getting
this
an
group,
education.
October 6th.
This
Get
looks
ready
like
for
that they're
October
engaging in
7th.
insanity.
So there's no doubt about it. There's organizations here. There's also the
Aren't they
hostages
supposed to be
saying that
studying?
The Hamas hostage holders were bragging to them about their access.
And yeah, that
to
was at the
American
university. The
students,
sign was right here
the
on the
students
on the
in
right
America,
side of
and
the
that they
screen.
were going to win the power of basically the publicity and marketing. They also tossed out somebody at Tufts University, caught this PhD student. They also threw out yesterday at Harvard. They threw out a Casino
Absolute
Petrova,
hardcore
who's
radicals.
a Russian.
This
who's
is
a Russian
exactly what the
research
Democrats
associate,
want. They
also
want
with
this
anti-American activity.
kind of young
You're
American.
over
They
here,
want as
you're
many as they
protesting
can
this country and
possibly
our allies.
manufacture.
Goodbye.
I would just say this, Rachel. I see your point. I see how it could be chilling. But I want chills to run down the spines of not only terrorists, but people that are residents here. You're a visitor here. You don't have the right. Be on your best behavior
agree with
here.
that.
And what we're dealing with is people
See,
that
that's
don't
the
love
problem.
the country.
I think they kind of
people that
technically have the
radical
right.
ties,
If
and
you're
I
in the
think they're
United
trying
States,
to
like the
use
amendments
our
apply to you,
laws
as far as
against
I
us
know.
at the time. So I think what the Secretary of State is saying,
If I'm
look,
wrong, let me
I
know in
want
the
to find
comments.
visa violations. Many of these people have
Right.
ties to foreign governments. They're trying to have dissent. They're trying to get us to be at each
I agree
other's
with that totally.
necks as
Just like in South Korea,
at
if you're
each
not
other's necks as
if you're not a
well.
citizen,
And
you
so
can't
you
protest
have
in
to
South
send a
Korea. It's
message to the
illegal if you're
people
not
that are
a
visitors,
Korean citizen.
Don't come in my house and spray.
Would that be the case
paint
here?
on
Probably.
my wall.
Take over Hamilton
And
Hall.
Agreed.
look, we have to deal
Agreed.
with the.
I agree
Well,
with
spray
that.
painting a wall, dude, that's
the American
vandalism. That is a
citizens that are
crime.
degenerates. We have to deal with them. That is a part of
But
our
they do it,
society.
and they don't give a
have
shit.
to deal with the visitors that are here, and I think that's what the
a fair
Secretary
point.
of State is
You know, when
doing.
I was a child in a military
Where?
brat growing up, I lived overseas almost exclusively. And when we went to I attended Department of Defense schools, and we
I was a
had
military
to take
brat
a
too,
class
but we stayed in the
called
States.
Host Nation class.
Yeah.
Where we learned about the host nation and we learned how to be a guest, a proper
Yeah,
guest in people's
to
country.
respect them, their
That is
morals and
my
their
primary
values.
concern with this. And the other concern I have is the thing you touched on, but which needs more
They
attention
come over here
to,
and they
which is
learn
the
to
fact
hate
that
America.
Our universities are prioritizing foreign students
That's right.
because they pay full rate tuition, and
Absolutely.
a lot of these slots
money.
belong to American kids. How many valedictorians aren't getting into these elite schools?
All of them.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if they're,
Oh, yeah.
exactly, if they're white males.
Yep,
This
yep,
is something
that too.
America is for
You're a white
Americans,
male.
That's right.
and we need to prioritize that. So I think there's a lot to be said.
Yeah.
But let's also be careful because we don't want to leave the impression on the world that we are not for free speech.
But I do want the impression of the world of you're going to come over here and create havoc.
Yep, and that's what the message really should be. That when they come here first of all to get their education. They should be spending every second of every day brushing up on their education, doing what they came here to do. Plus, I would wonder, or I would have to ask, when did they learn all of this radical shit? I mean, I already know the answer to that question. They learned it after they got here, when they started listening to these insane, hair-on-fire leftist professors. And that's really where they should be getting to the root of. They should be purging all of these professors the fuck out. Get rid of them. Well, they're tenured. They have tenure, so they have to stay. Whatever, dude. I guess, really, you're just better off just not going to college at all at this point. I mean, look at all the, not all, but there's quite a few famous billionaires who went to college and dropped out. They went to college for as long as they needed to until they got what they needed, and then they're gone. There's a lot of people that went to college. They only went there because there's a lot of tools, supplies, machinery, technology that they have access to when they're at that university. And once they learned everything that they needed to learn, now they're off on their own, and they just go off and make this insanely lavish, expensive, super rich life out of whatever they got out of that education. But I mean, most people, especially in these universities, you really think that a lot of these students are actually going there to be lawyers or doctors or whatever? Probably not. They probably went over there with that intention or came over here with that intention, but I'm sure they're probably not anymore. Now they're stuck in like gender studies and God knows what else. But anyway, more please. U.S. will begin revoking visas of Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. But aren't all Chinese connected to the CCP? I mean, the CCP owns every single square inch of Chinese land. There's no Chinese citizen that owns their own property. And speaking of which, if we don't get housing under control, which, by the way, the Democrats are talking about that way more than Republicans are. It's crickets when it comes to that. Except Marjorie Taylor Greene, I pointed out the other day, she did post about housing being expensive and something needs to be done about it. You're going to get a lot of these young adults, a lot of kids in high school right now that are going to grow up 5-6 years from now. It's going to be impossible to own a home. And it's been ingrained into them, just like it's been ingrained into all of us, that the American dream involves owning your own house. And if you can't own your own house, they're going to start thinking that, well, the American dream's dead. And they're going to probably side more and more with progressive leftists. Because the progressive leftists are saying, like, it's all for naught, we're doomed, we got to burn it all down and start from scratch. And, yeah, I just think it's a major problem, and it's only going to radicalize more people, I think, in the long run. Once things get to the point where so much more is expensive, like a car. Just a basic automobile. They might get to the point where Waymo, for instance, because they've got self-driving vehicles, even Uber and Lyft, they're working on self-driving platforms right now. So you probably won't see any actual human drivers 10, 15 years from now. And they're going to start offering these programs where if you give them like $300 a month, you get unlimited Uber rides up to a certain distance, like as far as like 30 miles from your house or whatever, which helps create these 15-minute cities that the left keeps talking about that we need to start integrating into American society. Well, you don't have to go across the country. Of course, the elites are telling you that. They're like, well, you don't have to go anywhere because it's bad for the environment. It's bad for you to use up gas or use up electricity to take your EV across the country. You don't need to be doing that. I don't know, man. It's a big problem. I don't have all the answers. But anyway, I guess we will just go ahead and move on to the next one. And this is from U.S. Space Command. Big a very smooth segue into the next one. So, all right, whatever. So the U.S. Space Command, the U.S. Army successfully demonstrated LTA-MDS 360-degree engagement capability at White Sands Missile Range, marking key program firsts and progress toward delivering 360-degree air and missile defense to protect U.S. forces and allies. Check this thing out. That's a hell of a machine. Mobile. Fully mobile. It'd be wild seeing one of those things on the interstate being pulled by a camo-colored semi-truck. So I'll just read just a little bit of it. I mean, we already got the gist of it out of the post, but anyway, the Lower Tier Air and Missile Defense Sensor Product Office Program Executive Office Missiles in Space successfully executed a missile flight test at White Sands Missile Range, a significant milestone in advancing the Army's next generation air and missile defense capability. So they're integrating all this in with the Space Force. During the test, the LTA-MDS detected, tracked, and classified an air-breathing threat surrogate target, air-breathing meaning that it uses oxygen in the air to propel itself, through the Integrated Battle Command System. An IBCS processed the data, determined an engagement solution, and commanded the successful intercept of the target with a Patriot Advanced Capability 3 Missile Segment Enhanced Interceptor. I mean, a lot of that's foreign to me. I don't know exactly. I'm assuming they're just talking about extremely badass made in America missiles, weapons. The engagement showcased several program firsts. The first integration of the Large Tactical Power System with LTAMDS during an engagement, first successful intercept of an air-breathing threat using the LTAMDS secondary sector array, and first mission executed using IBCS low-rate initial production hardware. So there's just a little bit more to read, but we got it. So technology, man, military technology. We are straight out of the future, our military. Might as well be from the year 2100 at this point, at least compared to any other country. Department of Agriculture, quote, "We will continue to take all necessary steps across the entirety of the federal government, working alongside our partners at the state government and in the local governments to ensure that we keep this pest, this parasite, and others like it out of our country that threaten our economy and our way of life," said Secretary Rollins with the Governor Abbott of Texas, regarding the parasite, the New World Screwworm. It's hilarious, man. Screwworm. Screw off, man.
The entire
Fucking
Trump administration is working
Oh my God, that's loud. I'm sorry.
to prevent this pest from entering the United States. The U.S. Food and Drug
I think it's already here, though, isn't it?
Of course, helmed by our friend Dr. Marty McCary, underneath Secretary Bobby Kennedy, is identifying current animal drugs, whether authorized in the U.S. or abroad, fast-tracking those that would likely be effective against the New World Screwworm. FDA has been a strong partner and is currently undergoing expedited avenues to ensure animal medical countermeasures are available. USDA and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, are constantly monitoring our ports of entry, again, to keep the pest away. We are working alongside Secretary Chris Wright in the Department of Energy and Administrator Lee Zeldin in the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, on new innovations to combat
How many
the pest.
billions of
We're
dollars
working
is
on
this
that,
going to cost?
And we will continue to take all necessary steps
Where did it come
across
from?
the entirety of the federal government, working alongside our partners at the state government and in the local governments to ensure that we keep this pest, this parasite, and others like it out of our country that threaten our economy and our way of life.
Oh, for crying out loud, man. Freaking New World Screwworm, man. It's always something. There's always something. Where the hell did this thing come from? Or it should be fucking China. Probably China. Let's see. A parasitic fly native to the Americas, specifically tropical and subtropical regions, tied to the New World tropics, encompassing parts of South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Okay, so it's our problem. It's on our side of the world. Why are we just now hearing about this? I don't know. Unlike other blowflies, its larvae feed on the living tissue of warm-blooded animals. Oh no, man, that's bad. Causing myiasis, a severe parasitic infestation. I know I butchered that word. Historically, it was widespread from the southeastern United States through Mexico, Central America, and into South America, thriving in warm climates. Oh no, dude, that's bad news for me. The fly's presence was first documented in the Americas, and it has been a significant pest for livestock, wildlife. Try that again. And occasionally humans due to its destructive feeding habits. Way back in 1988, it appeared in Libya, marking its first establishment outside the Americas, though the exact mode of introduction remains unknown. So this thing's been around for forever. Been around for a long time. New World, I just assumed it was just some brand new, God knows what, that just mysteriously showed up somehow. But no, it's in regards to the New World. All right. That's a nightmare that hopefully they can get under control. Although, you know, how do you stop flies? That's wild, man. Let's hope they do. Anyway, CBP officers in Far, Texas intercepted $7.6 million in meth from a shipment manifested as roses. The driver was attempting to enter the U.S. from Mexico when his tractor trailer was selected for additional inspection. Well, it's good that they did. Definitely a good thing. Damn, that's a lot of meth. That is a lot of meth. Oh, science, bitch! Alright, so from Far, am I saying that right? Pahar, Texas? Pahar? Maybe that's how you say it. Far, Texas. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Office of Field Operations officers at the Hidalgo International Bridge intercepted $7.66 million in alleged methamphetamine within a shipment manifested as roses. Do they actually have an image of that? I'm just curious to know what it... I mean, I actually do see some what appears to be leaves. I mean, maybe they were trying to make them look like glass roses. Have you ever seen those before? Glass roses? I don't know. Anyway, quote, this large, hard narcotic seizure reflects the excellent work done by our CBP officers. Their use of our tools and technology is second to none, said Port Director Carlos Rodriguez Hidalgo for Anzalduas Port of Entry. Can you tell I'm not from Texas? On August 12th, CBP officers at the FAR International Bridge Cargo Facility encountered a tractor-trailer attempting to make entry into the U.S. CBP officers selected the vehicle for inspection, which included utilizing non-intrusive inspection equipment and a K-9 team. Physical inspection led to the discovery of 154 packages of alleged methamphetamine with a combined weight of 389 kilograms or 857 pounds, concealed within the shipment of roses. CBP OFO seized the narcotics and vehicle. Homeland Security investigations initiated a criminal investigation. Heads are going to roll for that one. Oh my God, that is so much meth. Would definitely not want to be on the receiving end of whatever nightmares come after them, awaiting for them when they get out of prison one day. No way, dude. Screw that, man. All right, so from Rapid Response 47, President Trump's Truth Social account. We will only see the return of the remaining hostages when Hamas is confronted and destroyed. The sooner this takes place, the better the chances of success will be. Remember, I was the one who negotiated and got hundreds of hostages freed and released into Israel and America. I was the one who ended 6 wars in just 6 months. I was the one who obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities. Play to win or don't play at all. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. It's a little kind of a narcissistic post a little bit, but hey, it doesn't make him wrong. He's absolutely correct, 100%. And he's definitely one of the most effective presidents. Absolutely has to be the most effective president in my lifetime. That's for damn sure. And that was posted 12 hours ago, so it was this morning. All right, so let's go to Homeland Security. You bet we did, Newsweek. Lady? I'm just going to assume it's a lady. Lady Tatiana Mafla Martinez is a criminal illegal alien from Colombia who was convicted for driving under the influence in L.A. Martinez entered the country in 2022 and was released by the Biden administration. Go figure. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, if you break the law, you will face the consequences. So it's in response to Newsweek. ICE arrests an influencer, Tatiana Martinez, during a live stream. That is hilarious. Should we go looking for it? I bet I could find it. What if we should look for it? Tatiana Martinez. Let's see if I can... Well, I can spell the last name. All right, so the big question is do I search YouTube or do I search X? It's definitely going to be on X, I'm sure, but I'll try this one first. I'll try to go to YouTube first and see what we can come up with here. Let's see. I hope it's not going to be some news report. I don't care about the news report. I want to see like the live. ICE agents pull screaming illegal immigrant influencer from her car after resisting arrest. Sky News Australia. It's not a bad channel. I've seen some of their stuff before. During her... Hold on. Lives. Maybe I should just add in a little extra here. Let's see. By ICE on live stream. I mean, somebody had to have clipped it if she's an influencer. She doxed herself. Thought she could hide behind TikTok. Arrested and deported. He might actually have the video. Let me just give it a quick look. Let's see. Woo, it's a little loud. Not too crazy though. Here we go. Here we go. All right, dude. I knew I could trust your channel.
Showed up at your door.
Woo. All right, let's get to the video. But that's not the video, though, is it? Oh, crap.
Watch this. It's so satisfying.
No.
Oh, it is.
No,
papi.
No. Espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate.
Uh-oh.
Espérate, me voy a dejar, pero
That's not very nice language.
Espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate.
She's not saying me more. That ain't happening. fucking brat. What is that, a Corvette? There we go. And there goes the phone. Uh-oh. Who's next? Kicking ass and taking names over here. Good grief. They even called the ambulances for her. Come on, man. She wasn't hurt that bad. Fucking drama queen. The hell kind of hospital is that? Must be a very old and fancy one. Oh wait, no, maybe that's where the parking area was. That's probably what it was. Look at all this shit that she started. All this noise, all this bullshit, because she couldn't fucking be a decent human being. Probably at least another $20,000 in tax resources. If not more. All right, well, I guess that's the gist of it.
It's just, mwah! Just.
All right. I'll just leave his channel up in case you want to watch the rest of it from his channel. I'll link it also in the description. So anyway, yeah, so that happened. All right, so let's move on to USCIS. We encourage all aliens in the U.S. illegally to self-deport using the CBP Home app. You'll receive a complimentary plane ticket home, a $1,000 exit bonus upon your return home, and any unpaid fines for failing to depart previously will be forgiven. And you can learn more at uscis.gov. Just in case you happen to be an illegal immigrant, which I somehow doubt that you probably are, but just in case, you might want to read some of this, and I'll just leave it linked in the description. USCIS supports Project Homecoming of self-deportation, in which over 1.6 million illegal immigrants have left the country just so far this year. Just over the last 6 months or so. 7 months. Yeah, it's probably about 7 months at this point. All right, so let's go down to the FBI. Hawaii basketball coach sentenced to over 33 years for child exploitation and harassment of 10 victims. 10. His name is Ewan. Ewan held a position of trust that demanded that he protect and inspire young athletes. Instead, he abused his authority by preying upon and threatening his young victims. Today's sentencing reinforces the message that the victimization of children will not be tolerated by law enforcement. The FBI will continue to meticulously investigate these crimes, which cause irreparable harm and trauma to our nation's youth. That's from the Assistant Director, Jose A. Perez, FBI Criminal Investigative Division. And we've got a link to justice.gov. And again, this is in Hawaii. And he was sentenced to 33 years in prison and a lifetime term of supervised release for enticement of a minor, sex trafficking of a minor, production and receipt of child P-word and harassment offenses. Quote, the defendant was a youth basketball coach who shamelessly exploited, abused, harassed, and threatened his young victims, causing incalculable harm to them, said acting Assistant Attorney General Matthew R. Gagliotti. We remain steadfast in our commitment to secure justice for victims of these atrocious crimes, especially when such acts are committed by individuals who seek and abuse the trust of their communities in order to target and exploit vulnerable children. So there's quite a bit to go through if you want to check this out. It's in the description, of course. According to court documents, Dwayne Ewan, 52, of Honolulu, exploited and harassed at least 10 victims who he met through youth basketball, where he served as a coach and a mentor. And it was from 2005 to 2023. He engaged in extensive grooming of his victims, many of whom were especially vulnerable because of financial or family stressors, purchasing elaborate gifts for them and spending an inappropriate amount of time alone with them. Once trust was established, he began engaging in expert conversations with his victims, including sending them explicit images. In the early 2000s, he engaged in coerced and forced contact with victims as young as 15 years old. and so on and so forth. So, yeah, definitely a massive piece of shit who should be locked behind bars for 33 years. Hell, man, he's lucky he's not in Florida. We put him to death. They're eligible for the death penalty if they pull that shit. I don't think that they've actually issued the death penalty to any pedos yet, any PDF files, but it's on the table now because it was passed last year, if I'm not mistaken, right here in Florida. DoD rapid response. This article is nothing but trash. Appealing to heaven is a long-standing tradition in our military dating back to George Washington. If the fake news wants to attack the Secretary of Defense for leading with faith, they're not just wrong, they're standing against the very history and spirit of America. And that is in response to an article, How Pete Hegseth's zeal to bring religiosity to the Pentagon is dividing the military. And, okay, yeah, that's the next one here. So, did they link it? That's irritating, man. Why didn't they link it? You gotta link this shit. Come on, guys. Yeah, my apologies. Usually they link it. I don't know why DoD Rapid Response didn't, but they usually do. Democrats hate Christianity and our Christian roots, so this tracks, yeah. Maybe not all of them, but way too many of them do. Only the devil and his minions would want anyone to forego God, Jesus, or religion in general. Remember that. Faith has always been a part of our military, but imposing one's religious views on the entire Pentagon creates unnecessary division. Well, look, you're not being forced to go to these worship services. He puts them on once a month. He's not doing it every morning. He's not commanding everybody to head down for roll call and then 1 hour of prayer service every day. It's once a month, and it's 100% voluntary. There's not like 10,000 people showing up to it. I mean, how many people work in the Pentagon? Probably about that much. A lot of people. It is a room. There are a lot of people in the room when these services occur. Why is that a bad thing? If you don't like it, just don't fucking go. It ain't gonna kill you. I mean, look, if there's a church in your neighborhood, for instance, are you gonna say, oh, how dare you force your religion and force your Christianity on the entire city for being here? Dude, don't be an idiot. All right, anyway, they hated him first. All right. Appeal to heaven. Hey, there you go. Old school. Then George Washington praying. That's very cool. These days, I can't help but ask, is this a legitimate painting or is this a work of AI? It's not done by Grok because it's usually logoed in the corner. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I see a signature. Do you see that right down here? So this is a painting. All right, that's cool. It's really cool. All right. Maybe around the time when they crossed the Delaware, maybe that was him saying a prayer before, which actually I don't think that would track correctly because they did it before dawn on Christmas morning, if I remember my history correctly. So there's another one, An Appeal to Heaven, Pine Tree Flag of the Navy, 1775. There you go. That is really cool. I honestly did not know that. So, all right. Anyway, yeah, I'll go ahead and move on. I think we're getting close to the end here. And where am I? Oh, man, I'm already almost 2 hours in. Holy cow. All right, so from Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I strongly support President Trump in ending mail-in voting. Yeah, me too. Elections have been stolen for decades with this practice that is ripe for fraud. Save America by saving our elections. Yeah, get rid of the ballot counters, Dominion, those stupid Dominion machines. Anything that's electronic, I think they should just throw it all out. Hand counting, it's been an ironclad system forever. Yeah, it's possible they can manipulate shit. Nothing's ever going to be absolutely 100% secure. But just doing hand counts of actual ballots, we're not going to get recounts. We're not going to get any accusations that this machine wasn't working properly or that one wasn't calibrated properly like we have been. So this is a long one, man. This is long. So Trump has a lot to say here. All right, so taking a deep breath. I am going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. All others gave it up because of the massive voter fraud encountered. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before, by signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them for the good of our country to do. With their horrible radical left policies like open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender and woke for everyone, and so much more, Democrats are virtually unelectable without using this completely disproven mail-in scam. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots and voting, and everybody, in particular the Democrats, knows this. I and the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. The mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are a complete and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections and strong and powerful borders, you don't have even a semblance of a country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. And you know what the Democrats are going to say? He's a dictator. Oh my God, he's dictating. He's dictating so hardcore right now. Oh my God. But yeah, in many ways, he is correct. Like in 2020, when they were blanket balloting just ballots all over the place, people were getting caught left and right with piles and piles of ballots. There were people that got caught getting paid, what was it, like $20 or $30. It was up in Minneapolis. Dude was going door to door in these retirement buildings. I don't know if they were high rises or what, but they were going into retirement communities, going door to door, knocking and collecting ballots. And they were getting paid like $20-30 per ballot. And the dude actually did a live stream where he got caught because he did a TikTok where he showed this massive stack of ballots and he was flipping it through like you would like flip through pages of a book. Absolutely crazy. And there were many, many other ones like that. Plus, not to mention addresses that don't exist, people who have been dead for years and years. They're all getting ballots. They mail out the ballots to God knows where, and then God knows who ends up picking up those ballots, dozens or maybe even hundreds of them, and somehow they just mysteriously get filled out somehow. And also, for some weird reason, all of these ballots that just seem to come out of the woodwork that shouldn't exist in the first place, they've got Democrat written all over them. I mean, how many of these ballots did they print from someone who is deceased, knowingly deceased, ended up voting for Trump? Probably a zero. I mean, dude, for Biden to get over 80 million votes, the record before that wasn't even close. Like, he broke the all-time record for most votes received by a presidential candidate by, like, what, 12, 15 million? It was absolutely insane. Now, I know there's justifications for it. They're like, well, it was COVID. There were states that were mailing out all of their ballots because of lockdowns and all that shit. Well, that's exactly why mail-in ballots should be completely banned. Look, we're not in emergency times anymore. COVID is long since been over, and the whole thing should just be absolutely just obliterated. And if you're overseas in the military, okay, fine, that's different. There's a good, solid process for that too. And, you know, like vote, I can't remember what they called that. Not vote by proxy, but there's absentee ballot. That's what I was trying to think of. All right, anyway, so this is from Hakeem Jeffries. The cost of living in America under reckless Republican policies is way too high. You deserve better. Just so snarky and so to the point. It's as if Biden didn't exist. Time and time again, Biden just never existed. Just never happened. No, even when Biden did everything, it's still Trump's fault. No matter what, it's Trump's fault. They just can never let it go. Holy shit, I got 30 likes for this. Everyday Democrats know the Biden administration did nothing to combat rampant price gouging, which persists to this day. They blame the supply chain shortage during COVID, most of whom weren't affected. Hershey's, for example, they admitted to increasing prices despite ingredients not increasing in cost, nor were they in short supply. Can you tell that's been on my mind? Because I posted that, this morning, like early this morning when I first woke up. I was trying to get content, because that's, for each one of these episodes, I start early. So I scroll through my list, because I have lists of like over 400 members of Congress, of pretty much every federal department you can think of. Also, the president's cabinet, all the high-ranking officials. So I've got these lists that I go through. I'll scroll through it right before I go to bed at night. I'll just scroll through it. And if there's anything that I see that comes out between right now and around midnight, I'll bookmark it, and that's why you'll see these posts near the bottom when I'm getting to the end of the show. That's why they're just older. Like, they're almost 24 hours old at that point. But that's what I do. I try not to pick anything that is over 24 hours old. So that's kind of the format of each of these episodes, is I try to keep it as recent as possible, at the very least today, or late last night at the latest. So, but anyway, I don't always read something mind-numbingly stupid, but when I do, it's always from a Democrat. The lying Democrats, it's limbo time. How long can the DNC go? 17% today. Is it really down to 17? Last I heard it was 19. Yep, we definitely deserve better than the lying DNC and their paid shills. Just in, Biden lied about every single jobs report. Here's proof. No. I mean, yeah, of course we know this. It may have not been Biden directly, but it was that asshole, what's her name, that lady that was recently fired for fudging the jobs numbers to make Trump look bad. Yeah, I'm sure they were fluffing up the numbers the entire time, but I'll give this a go.
I'd say
Check
that
this
the
out.
big headline for me is something that you guys haven't talked about yet.
I hope I ain't getting trolled, though.
Is that we've got this thing going on where...
Oh, yeah, by the way, this is way back on February 7th, by the way. This isn't, like, today or anything. I saw those trees, and I was like, wait a minute. This ain't summertime.
The professionals at the BLS keep revising down the data. And so the headline for me when I'm looking at this is that...
Hey, dude, they were even doing that even recently. Like, in June, the jobs numbers came out, and I don't know if it was the lefty, what's her name, or who it might have been, but like in May or June, the initial jobs report was like 115 or 130,000. I'm sure it was the work of this lady. I can't remember. Her name escapes me at the moment, but they released this insane jobs numbers where there was like 130,000 new jobs created across the American market in the month of May or June. And then it was revised a month later. Oh, it was actually only 16,000, not 130,000. It was just 16,000. And shortly after that occurred, she got fired. And she was the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And apparently she was wildly overinflating the jobs numbers, not to make Trump look good, but to make him look really bad when the government did a double check, because I'm sure they double check everything after a month or, whenever a cycle goes through or whatever, but they revised it like more than 100,000. So, yeah, she got fired.
It was the biggest downward revision. The benchmark goes through last March, the biggest downward revision since 2009. And we're still
doing freaking construction trucks, man.
But, it's really
garbage
really
day
big.
In the White House.
Could be as much as, if you go a little bit beyond the month, the last month. It could.
Oh, I get it, because it's, February 7th, Biden, he might still have some of his shit left over in the White House, and they're out there to fucking scoop it up.
Jobs fewer than we thought after this benchmark revision. And so the thing is that why is it that we keep seeing sort of positive jobs numbers, and then when we look back a year later, it's way worse than we thought. And so I say that what we learned with all these downward revisions is that the Biden economy, the Biden jobs market, was way worse than markets thought.
But dude, look, payrolls average, I know this stupid fucking timestamp's in the way, but it revised from 186,000 to 166,000. Dude, look up the one from May or June. I'm telling you, it was like 130 all the way down to like 15 or 16,000.
And that's sort of consistent with the rest of our views that their policies were unwise, and there's a lot of cleaning up to do. And I think that if you look at ISM that just came out, that market participants believe that President Trump is going to be able to turn things around. And with these big downward revisions, we can see that there's actually a lot of work to do.
This dude must have just heard the funniest joke of his entire life. All right, so let me just take a look and see if I can find that. Come on, Grok. See what we got. Yeah, look at it. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. May 2025 job gains revised down by 125,000. They initially reported 144,000 jobs created. They reduced it down to 19,000. June 2025 revised down by 133,000. Even worse. They initially reported 147,000 jobs were created for the month of June, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and then it was officially revised down to just 14,000. And supposedly, the lady in charge of it did it to make Trump look bad. Total downward revision was over 250,000 jobs out of 300,000. Not even 300,000. That's it. Oh my God, dude. Fucking crazy. And this comes from BLS.gov, CNBC.com, BLS, New York Times, The Hill, CNN, even CNN, NBC News, finance.yahoo.com, Reuters, Axios, staffingindustry.com. So Grok pulled from all these sources. So just in case that you're calling bullshit, I didn't make it up. Apparently Grok, he's got the receipts. He, she, it, whatever the fuck. So, all right. Let me see if I got anything left here. So we'll be done with this post. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. I actually talked about this last night, but figured it's worth bringing up again. So this is from August 16th. So now it was barely under 24 hours old yesterday, but I figured I should mention this. So Congressman Gabe Amo, Gabe, I'm assuming his name's Gabe. Like so much of what we've seen across the country, this is wrong and reckless. ICE is just out of control. A U.S. citizen detained by ICE says she was denied water for 24 hours. Really? Well, let's just see what we got here. It's a video, so this ought to be fun. Come on, NBC News. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot. They always mute this shit. I don't know why the hell they do that. All right, here we go. Let's try this again.
Andrea Velez has yet to physically return to work near 9th and Main Street in downtown Los Angeles, where the 32-year-old works as a
downtown LA
coordinator for a shoe company.
I take it day by day.
That day, June 24th, Velez says her mom and sister had just dropped her off at work.
It was like a
lot
scene,
of cops,
like they were just ready
police,
to like attack and chase.
Velez describes
attack and chase. So they were there taking care of an illegal immigrant situation. I don't know if they were at that shoe factory or whatever, but she got her. Anyway, whatever. I'll get to it in a second.
Cars
Getting ahead of myself.
Men in civilian clothing going
all right,
after people.
did you hear that?
Cars and
hold on,
ready
listen.
To like attack and chase.
Velez describes seeing unmarked cars.
Unmarked cars. All right, unmarked cars. Now I didn't point it out before, but if you looked at the aerial footage of from the helicopter, all those cars were marked, all of them. And now look what NBC is doing. Look how they're doing this. This video, the guy who's videoing this probably has like 20 minutes worth of footage just standing right here. Even if he has 2 minutes worth of footage, they happen to take that one single clip where this dude is standing in front, and notice, just out of sight is the marking on the squad car. It's a police badge. It's very obviously a police badge. This is not an unmarked vehicle. And besides, it got berries and cherries on the top of the vehicle anyway. What the fuck do you mean it's not unmarked? Or that it's unmarked.
In civilian clothing.
See, notice that? Notice that? Awful convenient.
He grabbed and just slammed me to the floor.
Velez says she tried to tell.
All right, look at her face and tell me that she wasn't starting shit. That she was supposed to, either she was a bystander, she was walking back to work from her lunch break, and she saw police there, and she thought duty calls, it's time for me to start some shit, because that's just what I am these days. I live in Los Angeles, after all. That's what young folks are supposed to do now. It's just try to inject yourself in any situation wherever there's police present.
The plainclothes agent who arrested her The
plainclothes agent. Yeah, okay. A couple of them do have masks on. Literally completely surrounded by LAPD. They all got badges. They're all in uniform.
She's a U.S. citizen.
He said that
And also convenient of NBC that they happen to show like the worst angle of these officers that were arresting her. They probably had badges around their necks or probably on their waist, which of course we conveniently don't get to see because they're framing it a certain way.
It was interfering with what he was doing, so he was going to arrest
Look,
me.
dude, they've got it right there on their fucking vest. What are they talking about?
Show me his badge.
It said police right there.
His ID, identification. I asked.
Dude, I'm totally calling bullshit on that, man. They obviously have the name of their agency marked right on their chest. Just because they have a mask on. So what? They're obviously in. I mean, look, yeah, they're in plain clothes, sure, but they're marked. They're obviously marked.
Him for like if he had a warrant, and he said I didn't need to know.
Looks like it says police.
Velez's sister, sobbing through this video,
Drama
called
queen.
911.
We were already driving away, and
oh my God, I can't believe the police actually arrested my sister because she was injecting herself into situations.
In her mirror, she's like, they're taking your sister.
In this criminal complaint, federal prosecutors say Velez stepped into an agent's path.
Yeah, well, that's what you happen That's what happens when you impede an ongoing investigation. It happens to everybody. If you put yourself in the middle of an investigation and you're not supposed to be there, you get arrested.
And extended one of her arms in an apparent effort to prevent him from apprehending a man he was chasing after.
Well, there you go. At least NBC News was honest about that. So she got literally right in the way of the police who were trying to chase after a guy who was running away, and she physically put herself in the way. She's lucky she didn't get absolutely trampled. She should have been just freaking clobbered, man.
Velez says while officers were processing her into a detention center in downtown, she again tried to tell them she was a U.S. citizen.
A detention center in downtown?
And did nothing wrong.
I'm calling BS on that. I bet they took her to county jail or city jail.
Real ID, and at one point I gave them my driver's license and even my Kaiser.
I mean, look at her. She's fighting them. Did you notice that? She's fighting them. You went to jail for being an asshole. That's what you went to jail for.
Kaiser,
look, she's fighting them.
Velez says they still didn't believe her. She spent 2 days in the detention center where she says she had nothing to drink for 24 hours.
Oh, well, forgive me for not believing you. As look at her, she's yelling at probably yelling at this cop here. She's still trying to pull away from them. They ought to nail her with resisting arrest because she's clearly trying to resist. And you really want me to believe that you were sitting in some ICE detention facility and you were deprived of water for 24 hours? Well, forgive me for not exactly believing you.
And you have to buy utensils to eat. This lady, she was gonna get out that day.
Oh my God, how dare you have to eat your food with your fingers? It's not like, 99% of all human existence had to do just that.
And she was very kind enough to give me her cup and her spork.
I mean, who the hell uses a spork for French fries
2
anyway?
days after her arrest, and a month ago, the Department of Justice dismissed her case without prejudice.
Well, there you go. See, if you complain and you make up shit, like, I was deprived of water, Your Honor. Oh, you certainly were. All charges are dropped, ma'am. You have a very nice day. Despite on camera in this news report, she was resisting officers. And they also admitted that she got physically in the way of an officer who was trying to chase down a criminal, probably a dangerous criminal. What folks you think was going to happen? But of course, it's in LA, so they conveniently and usually let her go without any charges, no consequences of her actions or anything. So she's absolutely going to do this again because she wasn't punished. Yeah, she went to jail for a day. Probably not her first rodeo.
Which means her case is closed temporarily.
Oh, temporarily. All right, I didn't catch that.
I've always tried to do the right thing.
What does that mean? It was dismissed without... Oh, all right, whatever.
I've never hurt anybody in my life.
We reached out to the DOJ for our story today. A spokesperson said they had no comment.
I think it's insane that this is all happening. I've never imagined that this would ever be occurring here in America.
What? That if you break federal law and you're not from America and you find yourself in a city where you're consuming all of the taxpayers' resources, that there might be a lot of people that might end up having a fucking problem with it? All right, well, anyway, so that happened. So moving on to Cleta Mitchell. We need to strengthen the SAFE Act, passed twice by the GOP House, sitting at GOP Senate. There's a shock. SAFE Act amends the National Voter Registration Act passed in 1993. Motor voter, that federal law is why we register to vote at the driver's license agencies and why our voter rolls are a total mess. But that's for another discussion. The SAFE Act would require people to present documentary proof of citizenship when they apply to register to vote. Why is that a problem? What needs to be added to the SAFE Act what needs to be added to the SAFE Act to make it even stronger? Require all states to share their driver's license data with the Department of Homeland Security so DHS can confirm the citizenship status of all persons issued a driver's license in every state. Currently, there are 10 states that refuse to share their driver's license data with DHS. Let me guess. Every single one of them blue states. Guess which one? Yeah, guess which ones? I guess I should have read 3 more words. Require all states to send their voter rolls to DHS to identify non-citizens on the state's voter rolls. Guess which states are saying they don't want DHS to tell them which non-citizens are registered to vote in their states? Yeah, I'm sure we can all take a wild guess. And we need Congress to do 2 more things. Amend federal law to require that only citizens are counted for apportioning U.S. House, and that House districts are drawn based on citizen population only, and that federal funds are allocated to states based on citizen population. That absolutely should happen. It really should be not only amended to federal law, but it probably should be amended into the Constitution, because isn't that in some way or another written into the Constitution that like all people, I don't know how it's worded. It's worded in some way that allows a loophole for Democratic Congress members to flood our country with tons of human beings, and then they can conveniently get more seats in the House. Federal law today says the opposite. We need the Super Save Act. We are learning more all the time about the incentives baked into federal law that reward cramming as many illegals as possible into a state and fail to ensure that those non-citizens don't vote in our election. The states with the most non-citizens get more political power and more federal money. We have to change the laws and change the incentives, and Congress must get the non-citizens out of our body politic, period. Look, the non-citizens don't vote in our elections. Fail to ensure that they don't vote. Yeah, I mean, that's always been kind of ironic, in my opinion, that like if illegal immigrants were instantly given full citizenship overnight, like all 20, 30, 50 million of them, and they all start actively voting, I just don't understand why they wouldn't vote conservative, because most of them are freaking Roman Catholics. They have extremely strong family values, nuclear family values. They highly value traditionalism. I mean, they're pretty much across the board conservatives. It's just, for some weird reason, I think that would actually end up being the case. Most of them would just vote Democrat. It absolutely blows my mind. It's the same as the black population voting so heavily Democrat. That's always boggled my mind too. With Abraham Lincoln being the first Republican president, and the Democrats lost the Civil War. They fought tooth and nail to keep slaves, and the Republican, well, basically the Republican Party, the Union, lost hundreds of thousands of men, mostly white men, trying to free slaves, and the Democrats got all pissy about it, so they formed the Ku Klux fucking Klan. And then that went all fucking crazy for, 100 years or some shit. I just don't understand it. Now, although, I mean, I'm not the best at history, but from what I remember reading about, like in the 1920s into the 1930s, and then even prior to that, Black Americans, like 95% voted Republican. And it wasn't until the Great Migration during the Great Depression where most of Black America moved from the South up into these big cities. And then over time, Democrats ended up, they probably always had pretty much control of the major cities. But I don't know, man. It's quite a conundrum, or not even a conundrum. It's ironic. Anyway, so from Rep. Vern Buchanan. Oh wait, did I miss anything? Oh yeah, from Ted Cruz, General Mike Flynn, a very serious video montage that America must take very seriously. At Real Donald Trump. Oh, the post is gone. Oh wait, is it gone? Oh no, here it is. I mean, it is 8 minutes though. At the American Muslims for Palestine conference, they openly discussed their plans to take over America, including through martyrdom, suicide bombings, stabbings, etc. America must wake up. It's going to be an uphill battle for them to do so because we've got two oceans protecting us from the rest of the world. It's not to say that they're not going to try, because they're certainly going to try. And they're already trying with some success by brainwashing our young Americans and universities into being like pro-Hamas, which, come on, let's be real, that's what they are. They're pro-Palestine, and it's hilarious, man. Like gays for Palestine and like that. Your values it doesn't join up with what this like Sharia law and all this other stuff that they ultimately want to push into America. The people that are insisting that all this gets rolled out are the ones who are going to suffer the worst. It's unbelievable. But we'll watch at least a little bit of it.
I caution you of the days to come, because they will not be easy. There are people among us today who might not be with us next year at this conference. And this is the reality. Because the liberation struggle requires sacrifice, and I know everyone here is prepared to make that sacrifice.
It's from Canary Mission.
In May 2024, over 100 organizations gathered for the People's Conference for Palestine in Detroit, Michigan. More than 3,000 activists were in attendance. Speakers celebrated the October 7th massacre, called for resistance against the West, and mapped out a vision for the destruction of America from within.
The Palestinians who came to the United States understood their
technically.
role immediately upon arrival.
We, the movement.
But if you look, if an organization is deemed to be a terrorist organization by the federal government, and you pledge your allegiance to a terrorist organization, that makes you a terrorist, does it not? Can you be arrested and thrown in prison for pledging your allegiance or whatever, however you want to word that, to what is now written into the law as a terrorist organization? And I'm pretty sure your First Amendment rights would probably stop at that point, I would assume.
For Palestine and North America.
I don't know, I'm not a First Amendment scholar, so.
To fight until victory.
This violent movement has been growing for decades. It's made up of groups including Within Our Lifetime, Students for Justice in Palestine, the Palestinian Youth Movement, and many others. After the October 7th attacks, anti-Israel groups in America were emboldened. They saw the massacre as an opportunity to intensify hostility toward Jews and America.
When I think about the USA, it should burn! Death to America!
As the movement worked nonstop to legitimize the Hamas attack, the activists openly flaunted their hatred of Jews and Israel through protests, vandalism, and
they did, and a lot of the universities that were pushing this shit, especially the professors, who it still boggles my mind that they haven't been fired yet, but what was it, Columbia University and UCLA right now, they're on the verge of a settlement. The U.S. government is looking to fine them $1 billion with a B because of all this shit that you're seeing right here with the Jew hatred and all of this pro-Palestine, which, again, let's be real, it's pro-Hamas. That's what it is. And there was a third university. I can't remember what the third one is. So I don't want to say it because I'm not sure if it really is that one, but there were 3 that I know of so far that have been successfully fined hundreds of millions of dollars, which Columbia, I think it was $250 million that they have to pay to the federal government, which if you do the math, we're talking like 10,000 students worth of tuition that they're going to have to pay to the federal government because they let all this shit happen on their campus. And they also vowed to not allow this to happen again on campus, and they also had to make other concessions too, including men and women's sports and other things of that nature.
Encampments and violent assaults, both in the streets and on college campuses. Flags of terror organizations became commonplace in public spaces.
Cause I told you.
Activists celebrated the brutality of the October 7th massacre.
I swear I've not seen this.
Inspiration from
I really haven't.
Barbaric acts of terrorism.
It was exhilarating. It was energizing.
Glory to our martyrs, our heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice.
I salute Hamas. A job well done.
But see, like, there's one issue that they're going to have. It's the fact that most of their supporters in America are just flat out scared of guns. They don't even know how to use them. And let's say if they learn how to use them, they're going to go up against an American population that has 400 million guns. Because most lawful gun owners, I would assume, are not about this shit at all. They're very pro-America, and they're always going to be pro-America. So, and many of those people who are lawful gun owners are going to say, fucking bring it. And I'm assuming they're a way better shot than these assholes. And all I'm saying, man, they're going to awaken a sleeping giant one of these days. These Democrats, these far leftists, these communists, these terrorists, and the terrorist organizations, because there is a massive sleeping giant just all over the country, and that's in the form of 400 guns and the people who wield them.
October 7th, Hamas declared war on Israel. On October 8th, their supporters declared war.
That's why the Second Amendment is
America.
the hill worth dying on. Don't ever let them take our constitutional rights.
It is time to bring the war home. It is time to smash this empire.
The goal of the movement is not just to destroy Israel. Their primary target is the U.S.
400 million guns.
They call America the enemy, the beast, or simply empire.
I mean, their stupid asses paid for that flag, idiots.
Of U.S. empire.
You might as well just start burning your currency.
In the belly of the insatiable imperial beast.
Here in North America, in the U.S., the belly of...
I mean, that's a fair question. They hate America so much, why don't they just burn the cash that they have? That's got our dead presidents on it. If they hate Abraham Lincoln, they probably don't hate Andrew Jackson, being the first Democrat president, but why don't they just burn all their cash? Go to the ATM, empty out your bank account, burn all the cash because it's evil. It's American. It's the root of all that's evil, isn't it? American currency, American money.
Of the beast, the heart of empire.
We have to bring down this empire with 1 million cuts. We will be hitting empire where it hurts most. Bring empire to its knees.
Dismantling the heart of empire is not easy, and it won't be rapid.
Gee, I wonder what empire means.
But we know it's possible.
This panel, y'all, is talking about what is next. To strike at...
Yeah, because she's a genius. She's got a 500 IQ for sure. I just know it.
The heart of empire.
The Palestinian American pro-terror movement
She looks like she
uses
was
the word resistance
having a chronic
as a
fart.
euphemism for violence. And that resistance is to be accomplished by any means necessary.
We will resist by any, all means necessary.
The resistance.
Let me guess,
in all its
the
forms.
mayor running for New York City is about to show up.
Armed resistance.
Normalized armed struggle.
They are not terrorists, they are freedom fighters.
Our noble, steadfast resistance.
Conference speakers outlined their strategy for bringing the war home.
I believe our fundamental role is to generate political and social crisis within the American ruling class. Mass mobilizations is the primary tactic. Street shutdowns, bridge and train shutdowns, airport caravans and shutdowns.
Can't do that in Florida. They'll get run over. That's why they don't play that shit here.
Building takeovers, targeting of weapons manufacturers, shutting down events.
We will be here
And they do get run over.
on our campuses, in our classrooms, in our workplaces every day.
We have made the situation untenable for the empire's ruling classes.
All right, whatever. So anyway, that's on E.L. Jacoby, which was reposted by General Mike Flynn. If you want to check that out. Actually, matter of fact, here, I'll just repost it right here if you want to head over to my Twitter profile. X profile. It's X now. I've been on here since 2013. It's still hard to this day to call it X sometimes. So, all right. So I think I've got one more here from Phillips. Phillips is investing $150 million in U.S. manufacturing, creating hundreds of jobs, and producing critical hospital equipment here at home. We're bringing jobs and manufacturing back to America. Amen. Back to America. Pennsylvania and Minnesota. Yes, Fox News. Of course, the whole banner is going to cover everything. Let's see, investing over $150 million. In Pennsylvania and in Minnesota, the facilities will create hundreds of skilled jobs producing equipment for hospitals nationwide. Oh man, that's way too long. That's 11 minutes. Phillips is investing more than $150 million into U.S. manufacturing with the goal of expanding the production of AI-powered health technology innovations. While it's far from the company's first investment in its domestic operations, it aligns with the Trump administration's goals of boosting domestic manufacturing and helping the U.S. become less reliant on foreign goods. Part of its latest investment includes the expansion of its Reidsville, Pennsylvania manufacturing facility, which produces AI-enabled ultrasound systems for hospitals across the U.S., and the recently announced expansion of Philips' image-guided therapy facility in Plymouth, Minnesota. The additional funds will be directed toward additional manufacturing and research and development projects over the next several years to support the company's growth in the U.S. And the proposed planned expansion of our manufacturing facilities is a demonstration of our deep commitment to the U.S. region. Philips North America Chief Region Leader Jeff DeLulo said in a statement, quote, increasing our manufacturing and R&D capabilities will create jobs and accelerate our ability to deliver better care for more people with innovative AI-enabled solutions. This builds on top of the company's existing investments in manufacturing and its annual $900 million research and development investments in the country, as well as its investments in nearly 17,000 employees across 40 facilities in the U.S. The company already boasts a significant presence in the U.S. with employees in every U.S. state, supporting innovations used by clinicians and patients in 90% of hospitals around the country. So very cool news. And then it continues just a bit more, actually a little more than a bit more, but yeah, it's good news, man. Phillips, they're already here. I mean, they're not completely overseas. I mean, they're just announcing that they're going to drop some more money into the U.S., which of course is definitely a good thing. All right. So I think that's all we got. Just double checking. Yep. I think we're good. I think we're all good. And hope you really enjoyed the episode tonight. It was a good one. There were some bangers for sure. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and definitely subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. And I'll drop a new show every evening covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, agencies, and everything else. You can follow me over on X where you'll get a preview, or you can, because usually I repost just like you saw me do in this episode. I often will repost stuff that I plan on talking about later on. So if you want to get kind of a preview of what I'm going to talk about in each episode, which I'm definitely doing Monday through Friday, and probably more often than not over the weekend. It's not a guarantee over the weekend, but more often than not, I probably will. But anyway, yeah, you can get a preview of some of the content I'll be covering in each upcoming episode. And I also post the daily episode over on X too, so feel free to comment over there too if you'd like. And thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.